All right. Does anybody remember what happened last session? Does anyone want to lead the recap?
When did we start? What was the beginning?
It was the trial of Zane, but did anything happen before that? Like, did you guys do anything that morning?
Boyd went and talked to Linton and basically told Linton that we know what's up. We know that they're like Uberthalls, and that he should just play along with Nero, follow Nero's lead in the town council meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And we briefly talked about like using their abilities for us to like accomplish our ends. And we're just like talking to them about how they basically prize stability, and that we're trying to like create or like put in a government that is loyal to Thrune and stable, and that we would work to make sure that their operations weren't really disrupted, and that they could keep doing their thing, like they have been for years.
That's right. Uberthals are the faceless stalkers. They're like shapeshifters that subsist on the blood of sentient creatures. And so you guys have figured out a while ago that they were living in this town for however long. They've been they're not acting characteristically for these Uberthals. Like usually they're chaotic and they just kind of feed hungrily and then leave a town. But these ones have kind of made a place here. And you blew up their spot. Like you said, he walked up to Linton's like, "Hey, we know what you guys are doing. We know what we know what you are, but we don't really care all that much. We're not here to fuck your shit up." And yeah, so Linton was he was a little taken aback by that, but he accepted the way things were going down, and actually brought Rima out from the back. Remember, Rima was stationed with the loyalists in the forests with Bob El Zub, and she recently disappeared, and she came back and was reporting back to Linton. His shape changers are apparently spies all over the place. You don't know exactly how many of them there are. He was very reluctant to give away that sort of information, but he did let you know that he does have many in other places, and that he's here to side with the winners. Basically, he wants to make sure that whenever someone comes out on top, his people are taken care of. And it seems that Vors has let him know that that's going to happen with him.
I can't remember if this was last session or the session before, but I think Iwan and Nero also went to talk to Zane before his trial,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that was last session.
Yeah,
I think it was too. Yeah.
Right? We like went there, and the dogs. We went to that fountain, and there was a dog that was like barking a ton at me.
Yeah, it was a spectral dog, like a translucent, glowing, like kind of angelic dog. That as you approached and you were talking to the guards, it just appeared out of nowhere and started barking at the little gnome.
Yeah, and then we like, she like feigned being all helpless about it, and the guards kind of like let the two of them in.
Mm-hmm.
And Nero did a lot of the talking with Zane, but tried to get him to let Nero help in his defense. And Zane was kind of his usual stubborn self about it, but eventually, even though Zane still ended up representing himself, allowed Nero to kind of influence some of his arguments, and understood Nero's suggestion to like try to take the edge off of himself a little bit.
Because he's an asshole all the time, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think if there was anything else we told him. I mean, I think both Iwan and Nero were expressing their general disbelief about the whole situation, and like their disappointment with Oppian's like path to where they were.
Mm-hmm.
Nero, was there anything else that?
no, I think that's pretty much it. Is that we just, I'll defend you, and he was like, no, I'm going to defend myself, and I basically said, all right, well, it's partially my fault you're here, but the best thing you could do for your defense is not be an asshole, which you are all the time. And he was sort of like, yeah, that's smart, because it might come down to the vote of the people.
One more thing I want to add before we go away is that in the beginning of the meeting, he actually was very he suspected Nero was involved, because not 2 hours after Nero showed up, that's when Oppian stormed in with his guns blazing, saying, I know you're part of this, what's going on? And he and his guards searched the entire manor and found the stopper for the urn hidden in the thing, because I think Iwin previously had snuck in and put it in there, and also a shred of Jalia's skin. So that this honorable monk with these magical tattoos on her, you guys killed her and skinned her alive because her skin was magical. And you left a shred of it in there, basically planting evidence, and Oppian's guards found it. So when Nero first walked into the room and Zane saw him, like he was led from in chains into this little interrogation room to talk with Nero, he just shouted like, "You! What are you doing here?" And he was very suspicious that Nero was in his house 2 hours before he was caught with this evidence that he had no idea what it was. So yeah, but then you guys basically you talked him down. You made some very good diplomacy checks, and he was still very reluctant to accept your help. But he did listen to all the things you said, and you kind of tempered his attitude, his assholeness, and yeah, and then you.
The other thing that I just remembered, we so at the end, Iwan also kind of seeded the idea of Tychus Grote with him, which he then ended up carrying through in the along with a lot of the stuff that Nero, a lot of the thoughts that Nero seeded with him in the actual trial, which was one of the more explosive moments, of which there were a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So what happened during the trial? Just I think a lot of things happened. I mean, most of the session was the trial, so we don't have to go over everything. But what do you guys remember most vividly from the trial?
I recall that he was basically defending himself, and then was sort of starting to be an asshole, and then he'd start to like, wait a minute, I shouldn't be such an asshole, and he'd settle down a little bit. I remember that Nero brings up that hey. Don't get me wrong, I think that the part of this is why there's some suspicion of you is because if you picked someone in town who could lay waste to the prison camp themselves, it's probably you. And he sort of acquiesced to that, and he said, yeah, but why would I do that? There's no reason for me to do that. I like Jalia. So there was like keeping some tension in the air, and then Nero basically signals the vote to our boy Linton, and Linton votes to execute, and Nero ties it by voting to save, and then the city votes to save him, and he immediately resigns from the council. He immediately throws Tychus Grote in Oppian's face, and the whole thing's falling apart for Oppian.
Yeah, you guys basically worked the entire council. So Oppian had already decided before the trial even happened that Zane was guilty. He's kind of losing focus on things, and he's furious. He basically assumes that Zane was guilty. But you talked to pretty much everyone else on the council. You talked to.
Did Boris go to jail last
I don't know if it was last or I think it was 2 sessions ago. Basically,
I think it was 2 sessions. Yeah.
Well, I think he stopped in, but the fortitude checks were the session before.
Yeah. You went to Linton and you had him refine some flay leaf into a liquid form that you could basically spike alcohol with, and you had previously picked up that the tavern owner Jenna Holdis. That she was into drugs. You basically picked up that she was an aficionado of drugs, and you're like, hey, I got this cool stuff in this drink, and you basically poured it into both your drinks, and you got her really high, and she was very suggestive during that state. That's what the drug does. So yeah, so you basically convinced her like, hey, it's possible that he could have been mind controlled or under the effect of some of these powerful artifacts, and if he was like that, then he shouldn't be held responsible for the things he did there.
To be clear, it wasn't date rape because Boris was doing the drugs too.
That's correct. Yeah, you were both inebriated. Correct. Yeah, and then you banged. That's right. So you convinced her that Zane probably wasn't at fault, and that you genuinely thought Zane was a good guy, even though he acted like an asshole. And she was like, so you worked her to that angle, and you also talked to Linton, and basically earlier in that day, the one you were talking about earlier, you convinced him like just go with Nero. Like Nero will tell you what to do, and like I promise you, however you vote, like that, it'll work out for you. Several days. Sorry.
Nero rolled that bluff check and was basically like, "Yo, hang."
Yeah, it's like,
hang it.
yeah. So you guys worked on all 6 of the council, all 5, I guess, because you didn't do Oppian, and you basically made the vote split. So you got it 3-3, and that meant the people had to do the deciding votes. They all just shouted what they wanted to do, and they were swayed by Calcyra the Just most of all, because she's an inquisitor and she can actually smell lies. Like she's a dwarf with this big nose, and when someone lies, her nostrils flare, and her god actually tells her that person is lying in front of you. And she said that Zane, throughout the entire trial, did not speak one falsehood. So all of the things he said, trying to proclaim his innocence, she backed up and said, Torag says he's not lying. And that was enough because everyone knows her, doesn't question her honor. that was enough to basically get Zane off the hook. So the majority of the people were on the side of he should be freed. And as Naz said, after the trial was over, Zane basically said, like, I don't even want to be on this council anymore. You've wasted enough of my time already. I just want to get back to the manor. So he wants to go back and do his work studying the artifacts that he was supposed to be looking at this whole time. But Appian was still furious and basically still doesn't trust him and decided that there should be guards stationed there. So he brought that up for a vote at the council, and it was decided that, yes, guards would be stationed in Narcopolis Manor. And you guys were talking about using that as a way to assassinate Zane, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So that was everything that happened in town, and then we kind of hopped back outside of town. And that night, it was Bob El Zub and the Thrune loyalists in the forest. You guys were just kind of hanging out, and the previous day you had raided a caravan full of ore, and you found a cask of dwarven ale inside of it with all these other expensive items. And you were nice and let your soldiers get nice and drunk off of the dwarven ale. And that night, Calcyra the Just, the Inquisitor, out of nowhere, just kind of stormed your camp with her 3 loyal foo dogs, like these little dogs that are made of like stone and hard skin. And,
They were made of stone.
What's up?
They were made of stone.
Yeah, you want to tell me what happened to that fight, Michael Mosky?
Oh, they're dead. They're dead. They're all dead.
How did they get dead?
I used a hero point, and I crushed her before it was a problem.
What happened before that? What did she do to most of your men?
She lit them on fire.
Yeah, she lit them on fire. She called them all out and lit them on fire. And her dogs attacked and tried to protect her, but you basically broke through the line while your minions engaged the dogs, and you smashed her twice with your hammer. And what did you cry out when you were swinging your hammer?
I don't remember.
You don't remember the joke? Okay, anyway.
I don't remember.
You said Magma Lord. You praised Magma Lord. Your god's name is Moloch, but you said Hail Magma Lord. All right.
I don't think that's how it went down.
Well, how it actually went down is after you killed her, you said very specifically that you removed all of her insides and put them on the top of your hammer, raised it up, and said, "Hail Magma Lord."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I read.
So,
The moral last week, or last session.
I think that was the moral, but I don't recall.
There were two. There were 2 last week.
I'd have to look it up.
Anyway,
So my question to you, Bob, now is, what did you do with the remainder of her corpse?
Well, but we didn't really get that far.
Yeah,
but
so what would you have done with it?
I would have broken it up into several pieces and buried it under loose soil next to new trees.
Okay.
Are bunyips carnivorous?
Yes.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
I would have fed the bunyip. The bunyip needs food.
Okay, yeah, so you fed her to the bunyip. Okay. All right. So as a reminder, you had no way of healing most of the wounded loyalists. You had a couple of potions that you gave out, but now you're completely out of potions and scrolls now. And Zara did her best to bind them up with heal checks, but wasn't able to actually affect any healing on them. So she stopped them from bleeding to death, but the majority of them are still unconscious. At the end of the last session, you guys decided to move the Loyalist camp, because however it happened, Calcyra obviously knew where you were. This was the same day as the trial, so basically after the trial, presumably she left and knew exactly where to go, it seems. So you basically made a survival check to find a new camp, and you rolled very, very terribly. But one of your minions made a much better check than you. Said, "Hey, this isn't the best campsite. Like, there's a really big ridge over there that they could come over. So maybe we should go over here." And you accepted that. You listened to your underlings, and you found the new camp. So I will take you to the new camp. All right. Boop, boop. Let me know when that loads for you, Michael Muskie.
all set.
All right. So you actually had to make 2 trips because you have a lot of unconscious people. You have like 10 unconscious loyalists now at this point. You have 6 healthy loyalists that are loyal to you. You have 3 wounded loyalists, like very badly wounded but still conscious ones. One of them is loyal to Zara, and the other 2 are loyal to you. And you also have 3 townsfolk, which are not combat-ready people. They're just kind of workers at your camp. So because your cart is full of ore, it was kind of hard to get all those bodies into it. So you actually had to make 2 trips back and forth with the cart to ferry the people from the first camp to the second camp. So when you get here, Zara begins barking orders to the remainder of the conscious loyalists, saying like, "Hey, you get up on that hill." She's trying to set up like a watch, basically. But as she gives all the orders, people aren't moving, and they turn to you. They listen to her very respectfully, but then they turn to you to see like, should we actually do this, or what should we do?
I want to sense motive on her.
On Zara? Sure.
Yeah.
Hey, click on yourself, roll sense motive. That's not sense motive, that's perception.
Oh, sure.
It's a squinty eye.
Squinty eye, yeah. You don't suspect anything odd from her. She's basically, it does seem like she's trying to set up a watch. She's basically like, you go up on this ridge over here, and you go over there. And she's just doing her best, to set up, because that you were found before, she's worried that you're going to be found again, and she wants to have people on watch.
I tell them to listen to her then.
Okay. Because, again, only one of them is loyal to her. Everybody else is basically looking right at you. Because after seeing what you did to Kalsyra, they're very much like, this is the guy. This guy is the leader here. So Zara does set people up, and basically I'll just move some around. And if you want to move people, if you want to station them anywhere different, you can just let me know. And we'll make it work. One's there. So all the unconscious people, they're kind of laying against the ruins of whatever building was here previously. And they're all just laid out on the ground. Do you want any special people guarding the cart full of ore, like you had last time?
They're all sober now, so no.
Yeah, everybody's sober. You walked through most of the night. Again, you made 2 trips, so you wasted a lot of the nighttime moving between the 2 camps. But people were able to rest, and I'll do some minor healing in a little bit. And let's see. Do you have any plans to contact the party and let them know what happened and where you are? Because right now they have no idea.
I don't have a plan to, but I assume I will.
Okay.
But yes, he does. Yes.
I don't have a plan to.
No trickiness. Yes.
All right. It's healing. Need them wake up. Yes, one of them woke up. Hooray! One loyal to Zara woke up. All right. So I'll take away his unconsciousness. All right. So that's all good. So you're not doing anything at the moment to contact the party, or what do you want to do?
I mean, I don't want to leave these people alone. Do I know where the party is right? Like, would I know where the party is right now?
They're probably in Cantaria. Yeah, you'd think they're probably in the town.
And how long would it take me to walk there to say, hey, what's up?
A couple hours.
All right, fine. I'll do that.
Okay, so you are walking.
I order one of the people that are loyal to me to guard the bunyip, though.
To guard the bunyip?
Yeah.
What do you just like keep an eye on it or what?
Yeah, like I want a guy over here.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Guard the bunyip.
And I tell him to guard the bridge, but also the bunyip.
All right, but the bunyip is hiding too. She's like underwater.
Yeah.
All right. So that's you at the camp, and you're going off trying to make your way to Cantaria. So I'm going to take you from this map. I'm going to move you temporarily to the little Usquid map.
Is there any way for me to know if the bunyip is happy?
You can sense motive on the bunyip.
All right, mate. We'll do that when we get back.
Okay. All right. So for the rest of you, that night, it was pretty uneventful. After the trial, Zane went back to his manor, and Appian began assembling like a guard to station there. But I don't think anything else happened like out of the ordinary. So did anybody want to do anything else that night?
Boris probably would have gone to drink with Jana.
Okay. Nero, you did go to the Church of Torag last night looking for Kalsyra, and the acolytes there did tell you that they don't know where she went, but she left in an awful hurry, and she took all her food dogs with her. Which is odd, because usually she told you that she leaves them there to guard sacred spaces, what the primary purpose of theirs.
So she ran off, and she didn't give any indication where she's going, right?
That's correct. Yeah, the acolytes have no idea what happened, but she left in an awful hurry.
Okay. So he'll just get up bright and early and go to the manor, try to reestablish with Phaedrus.
Okay. It looks like you guys need healing because you leveled. Lots of hit points. All right. Okay. So, Iwin, did you want to do anything else that night?
No, I think like I would probably just stay at the little Uskwood, and if anybody was there, you'd see her with her notebook, like really like scribbling out a bunch of notes and like furiously writing some new ones.
Okay.
Her plans are changing, so she's her notes.
So you have a notebook full of plans. That's good to know.
She does. Yeah, she's been. Yeah. So she's like furiously like drawing diagrams and arrows and all that stuff, and like mapping out a new plan.
Okay. So Bob won't be in town for a couple hours because he had to sleep a little later because they did a lot of walking at night, and it's going to take him a couple hours to walk to town. And Nero's waking up early to head to the manor. What does everybody else want to do on the next day?
Coffee and breakfast with Jana. So far, spent the night there.
Sure. Yeah. So you're hanging out at the Sweetest Drop Tavern, banging the barkeep, and having some breakfast there. That's fine. Yeah. So she does run the place, and like I said before, unlike the Little Uskwood, which is more of a like an inn, her place is mostly a tavern. People don't tend to stay there overnight. There are a couple rooms up top, but usually it's like the locals go there to drink and then go home. So when you ask for breakfast in the morning, she looks a little like, what? Like we don't really do that. But she does have some stuff. She makes like a basic porridge and stuff like that. What's your fortitude say for you? Drinking with breakfast?
Oh, that was from the night before. I rolled.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you got plastered last night, and I can roll one for Jan. Yeah, so you both got plastered. She rolled much better than you. Just has a much
We're
weaker
on like the
bonus.
same page. I'm good.
Yeah, so you got plastered, and you hung out all night. Anything specific you wanted to talk about, or anything you?
No,
wanted
I'm just like keeping the relationship going, like making sure the fire's still warm.
Okay, yeah, well, it is. She seems to like you very much, especially because you're one of the only sources of drugs in this town since the good aligned church took over and stopped all the trading and been watching the dock very closely. But you've managed to get a hookup, and she's very happy about that. All right. So, Nero, if you're going to the manor, is anybody going with him?
I think Iwan would probably head down to the halfling camp and try to still like work with the guy who was able to daze.
Perko.
If they want more lessons, yeah.
Yeah.
If she'd just go in and be like, hey, you guys want to keep learning, kind of thing.
Yeah, Perko would definitely be interested in that. So, okay,
Perko, my trap.
So I'll put Perko next to you, so I remember that. And Vors is still drinking with Janner for right now. So let's do the halfling thing first. I'll take Iwin to the halfling camp. Do I still have that somewhere? No, not that one. I probably should have called it halfling camp. That would have been smart. Called it Wilderness Stream. All right.
So shall we assume that we left word with what the hell is her name at the inn?
Loredana.
Loredana, where we were going.
Sure.
Okay.
So you had breakfast with Loredana, and then you're just telling her like, "Hey, I'm going to the manor, and I'm going to the halfling camp."
Right.
Sure.
Okay. So when I took you to the halfling camp, I'm going to turn off the nighttime stuff.
Okay.
There you go. Vision. Day. There you go. So yeah. You arrive at the halfling camp, and you're greeted very warmly, because you and all your allies, you basically helped them defeat these slavers, and they still have the corpses of them. They buried them, but they marked them very clearly as like, you know, a human lays here, like don't mess with us kind of stuff. They're becoming very defensive about their land. And
Nice.
when you get there, both Mytrup and Perko are there, and they greet you warmly. And they say like, oh, Iwin, thank you, welcome. And Perko is especially excited because again, he's like, I've been trying the other trick. Like you tried to teach him sleep. He's like, I don't have it perfect yet, but you can see him casting, and you can see this. He's weaving the spell almost correctly, but he hasn't gotten it yet.
So Iwan would kind of observe as he's doing it and be like, I think you're. It's one of those things you're just trying too hard. Like this is a subtle spell. Like you're trying to bring energy levels down, right? Like you got to just take it down a couple notches, and she'll sort of like walk him through. She'll be like, you know, do you have anybody who's been having insomnia recently?
Yeah, there's probably some halflings that aren't too sleepy after trying to be kidnapped and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so she'll kind of ask Perko and My Chop if there's anybody in the camp that hasn't been calm recently, and like, you know, they think might want to be a guinea pig here. Like,
sure.
would anybody be enthusiastic about this?
Sure. We'll say that this slinger over here is open to the idea, especially if it helps Perko defend the camp better.
Okay. So yeah, so she would first like ask Perko to just kind of like take that advice and try to incorporate it and like show me what you're doing.
Okay, so yeah, he does his best, and he's going to make a spellcraft check. Oh, he does very well. So yeah, so he rolled a 20. Congratulations, Perko. Yeah, so he does it, and you can see he's much calmer about it, and like you said, he's kind of like, it's a subtle spell. You're trying to focus on putting him to sleep, and he's doing it very slowly. He's focusing a lot, but doing it like very subtly, and he does, the halfling singer just let me see, makes a will save, right? Yeah, he conks right out.
So I will walk over to the halfling who's conked out and just kind of like give him a little tap with her foot to make sure he's not faking, you know?
Yeah.
and after she realizes that he's not, she'll look back at Perko and be like, "Wow, like, nice, you're a fast learner. Picked up days, picked up sleep. We gotta start up in the ante here."
Yeah. So he smiles ear to ear, and he's got this big toothy halfling grin, and he's really excited about this. He's like, I didn't know I had this in me. I didn't know that we could do this.
So Ivan will be like, "Well, keep in mind these sorts of skills like you got to build slowly. So you got to keep practicing this one. See if you can find some willing guinea pigs in the camp." But she'll hand him she'll kind of take out her notebook and write down a bunch of other spells, and maybe after the session I'll figure out which those are.
Okay.
But she'll just be like, take a look at these, read some other books, see what you want to learn, and then next time I come back, you tell me, and we'll go from there. She'll be like, "I know a lot of stuff. There's some stuff I don't know, but chances are." She'll also tell him where she's staying. Like, you can, if you decide before I come back, just send a note to Little Uskwood, and I'll start reading up on it if I don't know what it is, and we'll go from there.
Okay. And Perko is very excited, very happy to be mastering these magics, and yeah, he thanks you profusely. Like, thank you so much again for everything, for helping us the first time, and for coming back to help me train. This is very important to me.
She'll be like, "My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you guys for." She'll kind of like express her appreciation for their welcoming to her. She'll be like, "You guys have seen a lot of me, and I appreciate that you're still willing to have me around."
Yeah, not only Perko, but a lot of other people, they cheer. They actually cheer you because they're very happy to have you, and they say, "You're always welcome here, Iwan."
So she thanks them, and unless anybody asks her like anything else, she'll probably just kind of meander away.
Okay. No one comes up to you for anything specifically, but as you leave, like, one of them begins to say goodbye, and hearing that, a bunch of the other ones come out of whatever they were doing, and they all begin waving goodbye to you. They're all very excited to see, to have you here and to see you go. They're a little sad, but they all wave.
Cool.
Taking you back to the Little Uskwood map. On the way back to Little Uskwood, Iwan, you notice that there are some guards taking down some of the posters you put up the previous night. The anti-Oppian posters.
Yeah.
So they managed to stay up almost a full day, but then they're being torn down now all across town. So as you're walking back to Little Uskwood, you see a couple of places where guards are doing this.
And are they doing it in front of other people, or are they like trying to be secretive about it?
They are doing it in front of other people, and you notice after the first one is kind of quiet, but the second group you see doing it, some of the locals are giving the guards a bit of a hard time. You actually hear one of them shout, like, "What does Oppian have to hide? Like, what are you doing this for?" And
do the guards respond?
They do. They're actually getting into a vocal argument about how this sort of propaganda won't be tolerated in town, and they're under orders from Oppian to tear it all down.
So, and are any of the people that are objecting to this people that Iwan like encouraged, or are they people that she doesn't recognize?
You don't seem to recognize these people. These are just regular townsfolk. Just seem agitated. That why are you taking this down?
Yeah. So so Iwan will kind of like get over by the objectors, and like put her hand, well, they're probably a lot taller than her, but she'll put her arm around them, kind of thing, and be like, these are good people who are just trying to express their opinions about what's going on here. There's, she'll be like, there's still a lot that's uncertain, and it seems like Appian is really making a lot of unilateral decisions around here.
One of the guards, are you saying that to them, or the guards can hear you too? Or?
So yeah, she'll be saying it to the guards, like as if she's representing those people.
They seem like confused. Like, what's uncertain? What do you mean?
She'll say, well, even Zane during the trial, like, brought up this name. It does seem like there's, I don't know, everything's rumors at this point, no doubt about that. But like, it seems like there's somewhat of a trend going on here, or potentially a trend in the rumors. Like, there was a potential betrayal of Tychus. There's potential betrayal of Zane. Like, is this so straightforward that we should be just squashing this kind of dissent?
One of the guards shakes his head and says, I don't know anything about that. I don't know. All I know about Tychus is rumors, and from what I heard, the evidence against Zane was pretty compelling. I was at the trial. Were you?
Yeah, I was there. I think everybody in town was.
He nods and he says, I'm not sure. Based on the evidence presented, I'm not sure how I would have voted were I on the council.
Yeah, and I would be like, I agree. It seemed like it was gray area. It certainly seemed like it was perhaps an overreaction, given that it wasn't such a rock solid case. I don't know that we should just be making unilateral decisions around the town about what is and isn't appropriate in this case. Like, I still think a lot of this stuff deserves investigation.
The other guard pipes up and says, these sort of posters, though, Thrune propaganda like that cannot be tolerated here in town. Like, this is a Cantaria is an Iomedean glorious reclamation town now. We can't have these sort of rogue elements disseminating information like this, like trying to rile people up and make people angry, make people violent.
Should be like, well, but all they're doing is simply suggesting a theory of what's going on here. Nothing says violence. It just says, we stand with what turned out to be perhaps an innocent man, and are questioning the motives and competency of leadership that, quite honestly, is letting us down over and over again.
All right, toss me a diplomacy check.
Sure.
Yes,
cool.
Yeah, so there you go. So the crowd around you is completely convinced. Like, you actually get some people going like, yeah, and they're backing you up and basically saying like, what does Appian have to hide? What's going on? Like, I don't know if he can be trusted. Why is he so angry at Zane and all these things? Like, and especially someone say, yeah, Calcyrus said he wasn't lying. So why is Appian still angry at Zane? Why does Appian still not trust Zane if even Calcyrus says he wasn't lying? And you're basically making the case. And the guards notice that they're being outnumbered now by the people. The people are kind of turning on them. And one of the guards just blurts out, like, you should all mind what you say, and bad things can and will happen to Thrune supporters.
So Iwan will kind of be like, whoa, hold up, nothing says anything about Thrune here. Like, nobody said anything about being supportive of Thrune or anything like that. This is simply, questioning what's going on. These are questions, right? People they're wondering about what's happening. I feel like there's, again, this trend of overreaction to these sorts of things. It strikes me as like a kind of ego of our leadership getting in the way of the people getting what they need and what they want.
The guards don't seem convinced, even though your diplomacy was really good. They'd say, we're at war here, little one, and he's talking very derisively at you, addressing you as a short person. But yeah, he's we're at war here. There's two sides. There's the glorious reclamation, and there's Thrune. And if you're not with the church, like then you stand with hell. Like who else is there?
Well, she'd be like, I'm starting to wonder what the two sides really are at this point. And I think that's the general sentiment of what's going on here. Like, what is the church? What does it stand for? What's going on? And does leadership represent the values that they say they represent? We just don't know those things right now.
And again, you find that the crowd is agreeing with you, and you can hear kind of murmurings, just openly questioning, especially Oppian. Again, like, why is he so mad? Like, has he been blinded by his anger? Has he been corrupted? You know, he accused Zane of being corrupted by these things. Maybe he has been corrupted himself, and just the guards notice that things are turning on them, and one of them almost reaches for his sword for a moment, but they decide better of it, and they just shake their head and said, You're free to talk, but we have orders to take down these posters, and they basically go to move on unless you stop them.
No, but I think instead she'll kind of wait for I'm assuming the guards will eventually leave,
Yes.
and she'll wait for that to happen, and then go back to a little bit of her grandstanding in front of the people that are there, and just be like, like, look at this, we've seen this over and over again. Appian just marching forward with his own initiatives, and basically just like throwing the things that we think under the bus. Like, what is this really? What kind of leadership are we living under right now? Like, I don't know about you all, but I'm really starting to wonder what this is, and why we're tolerating it.
And yeah,
She'll just be like riling them up about this frustration that she feels, and I think she senses that they're all rallying around already.
yep, and yeah, you're
A little bit of fanning the flames.
Yeah, and you do a great job. Your diplomacy check still carries over, and yeah, you're doing an amazing job. You're finding a lot of support. Previously, like over the past couple of days, you guys have been in town for about 2 weeks now. When you said things like this, little in hushed voices, you found very little support 2 weeks ago. But now you're finding more and more support, and the voices that supported the Glorious Reclamation, you're finding fewer and fewer of them openly speaking out. So as you do your little grandstanding, people are very much listening to you and very much in line with what you are saying.
And so Iwan will be like, in times like these, it's important to make sure our voices are still heard. I encourage all of you to, take your thoughts, put them on posters, slap them up there, be supportive of each other, like let your frustrations be known. So she's really like trying to encourage them to also maybe even put up some posters that were kind of like the ones that she had put up.
Sure. Yeah, and some people even say out loud that they plan to do that they're going to do just that. Like, they can't silence us. They can't do this. They can't quiet our voice. And you have incited a bunch of them, yeah. All right, anything else?
That's it for me. I think she would go back and start like reading through her magical books and doing her usual daily practice and stuff like that.
All right. Nero, you want to go to the manor?
Yeah, Nero, can I swing by the bookstore and see about picking up a couple of legal books?
Sure. Anything specific, or what are you looking for?
He's looking for books that are under current Chilaxian law would allow that, like, setup of a protectorate of some kind, like some sort of declaration that the town is changed from what it was, but that it would still be something that wouldn't get ridden under by knights on horseback if we declared it this and had it sanctioned by a representative of Thrune.
Sure. So, yeah, you find a bunch of books about the legal status of protectorates and things like that. You don't have time to peruse them just yet, but you did find the book you were looking for.
Okay.
The bookstore does have a large selection of books. All right, so you arrive at the manor, and what do you do?
So Nero will knock on the door while he's reading a book.
Okay, knock on the door, and a Glorious Reclamation squire opens the door, and he greets you. He knows you. He says, greets you by name. He says, Nero, how may I help you?
Hi, I'm here to look at artifacts with Phaedrith.
He nods as if he knows that this is why you're supposed to be. He's like, yes, Appian informed me of the arrangement. You're here to oversee him and make sure he doesn't fall sway to any corruptions.
That's not how I'd put it. I think this whole thing is a bad rap. I think everyone's getting the wrong idea about what's going on here. Don't you think?
He shakes his head confused and says, what do you mean? What do you think is going on here?
I I think there's a lot of jumping to conclusions. I think everyone's jumping to conclusions and getting worried about things that don't need to get worried about. I think there's a lot of hard declarations being made rather than sound, thought-out decisions. You know, Let me make an example. This revolution, it's great for town, right?
Well, he nods. He says it's great for the town, great for the church, great for the Imedean people.
So, what do you think would happen to this town if they weren't involved in what's the other city? Agorian?
That's the capital city?
No, what's the city where they're sieging right now?
Sonara.
What do you think would be happening right now if something wasn't going on in Sonara?
And he looks confused. Like, what do you mean? Like, if the Glorious Reclamation wasn't sieging Sonara?
If the Glorious Reclamation wasn't in Sonara right now, and you were in the same position you were, Thrune would ride this town into ash.
And he nods because he's actually I think he was one of the guards that was around when you were talking to Appian about the strategy sessions that you had. And he nods and says the town isn't very well defended. I know that people have been talking about that, but we've been working on setting up towers and walls and things like that. You know, we've only had so much time.
It's interesting. I'm reading this book right now, and he holds up the book he's reading, and he says there's a lot of dogmatic law about setting up a protectorate under Thrune that would make the town untouchable legally. So all the things that have gone on, all the sort of upheaval, everything would be explained. If we're lucky, everything will be explained, everything will be legal, and Thrune will have no choice but to sanction it. And if it's legal and it's sanctioned, what's to say that we don't set up a church dedicated to Torag or Iamade or anything like that and make this a beacon for law and good, but don't necessarily have to also make ourselves a target for mounted knights, you know?
Yeah, make a diplomacy check, but he's initially resistant to that. We'll see if we can sway him a little bit. But
sure, of course.
He responds that like the devils of hell and the Thrunes that follow them. It's good. This is a good roll. The devils of hell and the Thrunes that follow them. They twist the laws to suit their own purpose all the time. I'm certain that whatever you could come up with, I'm sure that if they wanted the town back the way they had it, they would find a way to make it so, regardless of what laws you applied.
But this is the issue. If we set it up under the law and then make it advantageous for us to be this area under the law, why would they change the law?
He seems confused, but you are convincing him. He's like, I don't. Why would they leave us alone though? If I know anything about Thrune, it's that they make examples of people like us.
Dwarven trade. We've got Kelsyra setting up trade routes. We've got other things coming to this town that were never here before because we had to set these up as new things. All of a sudden the town becomes prosperous, becomes profitable. There's good things going on here. They're not going to make an example out of something like that.
And you've convinced him. He seems really reluctant. He doesn't understand like why Thrune would do all these things, but you're kind of with all your legalese and all of the things you're dropping, you've convinced him. He's like, I don't know about all that, but it might be possible. I just don't know.
I've got a lot of reading to do, but I'm hoping it'll be something. And Nero basically exchanges pleasantries, names, that sort of stuff. So if I see him again, it'll be
okay.
Like, hey, how's it going?
Sure. And yeah, and he does invite you in. He says, Master Phaedrith is in his study.
Okay. And where are you guys stationed? Where did they keep you? Do you guys wander? Do you just stay out here? Do you stay outside the study?
He says, there's several of us here, and we wander throughout the house, but several are stationed along the stairs and some doors.
Okay. All right, excellent. Well, I'll see you around.
All right. He nods and he invites you in, and then he closes the door. And as you walk in, you do see that there's a militia volunteer on the stairway with a guisarn. Make a perception check, too, Mr. Nero.
Is that a Becta Corbin?
I think it's a guisarn. You notice something different from the last time you were here. There is a small angel statue in this corner next to the couch.
Okay.
Was not here last time you were in the study, or the manor.
So he'll sort of pause and look over at it. Any details, any strangeness about it? Any detectable magic?
Are you detecting magic on it? You're gonna
Yeah.
cast a little spell? Do your thing?
Oh, that's new.
Um,
So Nero says that out loud. Oh, that's new, and starts to look at it.
And the squire looks at you and looks at the statue and doesn't seem to react. But it does seem to be magical.
It's pretty. When did this get here?
And the squire says, I don't know. This is my first time in the manor. I've only been here a couple of days, or since yesterday.
How big is it?
It's small. It's like a halfling-sized statue.
Whoa. Okay, so it's small statistically, but not like
Yeah.
carryable small. Okay.
Correct. Yeah. It's on a little pedestal, and we'll say it's like 2 feet high, 3 feet high. And it's an angel with a bow, kind of like a cupid.
Okay.
Sure.
So Nero basically is looking it over, and he's sort of, as he's looking it over, he's telling a story about how he once ran into a coral angel, and he also ran into a cherubic kind of angel. There was one that that flew around in
What are you trying to say, buddy?
what's the name of the town?
Longacre?
Longacre. God.
Yeah. Go ahead and make a knowledge check. See what you remember.
Sure.
Yeah, you know exactly. It's a Kuribu angel, and you're reasonably certain that this is one. It's standing very still as if it's a statue, but you believe that it is actually alive.
So Nero examines it and gets kind of close to it and whispers in Celestial what he thinks a true name for something like this might be. And then something in Celestial like, am I close?
This time you were not, no, with that knowledge check. But you do have, again, you are guessing words like syllables that sound like they, like an angel's name, but it doesn't react. It completely stands still as a statue.
Interesting. Are there more statues like this around?
The squire says, I believe there's one upstairs. Why do you ask?
Just interesting. It's new. It's very pretty.
And it is. It looks like a marble statue. It looks very nice. And he says, I don't know anything about that. They were here when I got here.
Okay. Okay, excellent. Well, I guess I'll head upstairs then.
All right. As you go to turn to head upstairs, you actually hear that there's piano playing from the other room up here.
Okay.
And you gotta head upstairs?
I'm going to stop and... Wait, who plays piano?
The militia volunteer says, another one of the militia volunteers, we'll call him Rian, I guess. R-I-I-N. He plays. And I guess he figured that if we're going to be stationed here this whole time, might as well make use of the finery here.
Okay. So Nero listens for a minute, sees if he's any good.
I doubt it. Let's see. Nope. He's playing rather poorly.
All right, so Nero will basically like pop in and just sort of say hello and like make his face known and look around, see if there's anything else strange going on, and just say hi and how you guys doing? And you need some practice, son.
Yeah, so Rian's over there and he's basically just mashing his hands on the piano. It's a very nice piano, very expensive looking piano that the Narcopolis nobles had here. But he's doing a very poor job playing it. You also see a 6th sword knight, which is one of the higher ranking knights in the Iomedean church, and he's just sitting on the couch listening to this kid play, and he agrees with you. He's like, yeah, he definitely needs some practice. He said he was pretty good, but I don't hear it.
Well, we'll get some time. If you guys are going to be here on the regular, we'll get some time to practice.
He nods and says, yeah, and at least the bunks are better than they are at the fastness, too.
Yeah, I imagine that comfort was not in mind when they made that place, yeah?
He nods and says, they just stacked beds wherever they could, apparently.
Oh, jeez. All right, they didn't build nooks or anything? You would think they would have built nooks if it's a stone building.
They have some small barracks, he admits, but he says it wasn't meant for this many people. They've just, they've had to just put straw mats wherever they could. Since
you ran all these Thrunes out of town, and they don't have enough space for you to stay?
He says, Oppian says that most of us should be stationed at the palace, at the fastness. He doesn't, especially now that the Thrunes are, stealing through the night and striking inside the town. he's growing more and more cautious. We're very thankful that he let some of us stay here.
Yeah. I'd love to get an opportunity to talk to some of them. Talk to some of the Thrune people. I mean, even if they don't agree with us, it's kind of rough to just run them out of town.
He shrugs and he says, "Look, if they are supporters of hell, they don't deserve to be in this town. The commoners will follow whoever they're going to follow, but those who would rule this town in the name of hell, they deserve to be run out."
A lot of people are sheep. It's just if you follow what you follow, and you get in trouble for it, it just doesn't ring as right to me.
He nods. He agrees with that people are sheep thing. Yeah.
The same way I wouldn't want you run out of town because you worship Iamade. A good, lawful person like yourself, I wouldn't want you run out of town even if you disagreed with me.
Okay. He nods. And you're still not showing off your Hell Knight shield, right? No one knows that you're in the order? Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. So he nods, and he seems very respectful, and you can hear the bad piano being played in the background. And I have music that I could have turned on.
Let me ask you. I have to talk to somebody about this. You might have some knowledge.
Yeah.
How's Appian doing?
He again looks confused. What do you mean? How is he doing?
I mean, none of this smacks to you that it's a little. He seems a little paranoid. He sort of sees betrayal at every turn.
Toss me a diplomacy check.
Sure.
Yeah, so you open up just a little bit. He says, I don't know a whole lot about that, but I can see why some people would think that. But he repeats kind of what the squire was saying outside. We're at war. There are enemies everywhere. It's obvious that Thrune loyalists are working to overthrow the town at this point. Perhaps a dash of paranoia isn't the worst thing in the world.
I suppose. Fear is what keeps us vigilant against things. Fear is kind of what keeps us honest.
He nods.
But I worry. I think there might be better ways to do things, I'm actually reading this legal book and seeing if there's a way that we could declare the town a protectorate. If we declare the town a protectorate, then under the law, maybe it's untouchable, I was thinking, and then it opens up a lot of possibilities about what this place could be.
He seems surprised at that. He's like, a protectorate? Would they still have to pay tribute to Thrune?
I haven't gotten far enough to tell you. I would assume that to some degree, there would be some of that. But better that than we get ridden down when the mounted knights come,
He nods. He agrees that it would not be beneficial for the town to be overrun by knights and taken over. But he can't make the idea of paying tribute to Thrune work in his mind. He again repeats, we're at war. We took this town, and Thrune is working to take it back.
Sure.
I don't see a protectorate. I don't see something like that working out.
Well, maybe not, but the idea that we're going to get stone walls up before somebody turns their eye here, all we need is a minor noble's house to turn here. And we got trouble.
And he nods. He said, as you say, the defenses are not great. But we're on the offense. We are working towards taking Sonara. Hopefully, we keep them distracted. Hopefully, we keep advancing. Hopefully, we conquer lands around Cantaria.
That's the hope. But do you know the lands around Cantaria?
He nods. This is generally, I'm fairly new in town.
So, name me one that's able to be well defended. I can't think of one.
And he probably also can't think of one. Yeah, so he says not too many. All these small towns, none of them have serious defenses. The larger cities, sure, but none around Cantaria.
This is a town that if the whole country goes to war, this is a town that burns. You know, this is a town that has symbolic significance, and I understand that it doesn't have strategic significance.
That's true. For those that might have forgotten, this is a holy city to Ayamede's faith. Back when she was a mortal, before she ascended to be a god, she ruled here as mayor for a year and a day. And he nods. He says, like, I suppose, you know, I'm hopeful that it wouldn't be burned, but as you say, you know, we would be ridden over very quickly by a group of organized knights for sure.
Right. So, anyway, I'm losing myself. I'm losing track of time. I'm supposed to be talking to Phaedrith. It's nice to talk to you. Keep up the practice, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
The militia volunteer, he smirks when you say keep up the practice, and he's still playing very poorly, but he smiles and smirks back at you. And the Six-Sword Knight, he nods somberly as you walk away. And you head upstairs.
Hey, what's up? Is that a guisan?
He nods and says, yeah. It's a pointy stick. So you get to the top of the stairs, and you see another one of those angel statues right at the top of the stairs near one of these cases. So this room that you're in right now, there are a bunch of like glass cases that look like they hold fancy things, but all of them have been emptied out.
Were they emptied the last time
They
I was
were,
here?
yeah.
Okay. New statue, when'd that go in?
The squire is the same as the first one. He says, it's been here ever since I was assigned here yesterday.
I saw that one downstairs. That's new too. I've seen angels like this. It's not quite. And he basically talks about that again, and he gets close and is like giving him the once over.
Yeah, and this one is also able to keep still. So you look at it, and as far as you can tell, it does just appear to be a statue. But you know enough about these things, and you've actually seen and killed one in real life. So you're reasonably certain that this is also a living Korobu angel, even though it appears to be a statue.
Okay, so Nero will just sort of smirk and schmooze around the rest of the building.
Alright. So as you walk over to where you know the study is, there's a reclamation sergeant is just kind of sitting at the table, and he looks over his shoulder at you as you come up, and he nods. This is Nero. Seems to know you by name.
Hello.
He waves and says, here to keep an eye on Phaedrith, and he chuckles a bit.
You know, I guess. I think he could teach me a thing or two about most of these things. He's a pretty bright man.
And the sergeant, he just kind of laughs. He's like, he's pretty clever. Bit of an asshole, though.
You know, we all have our strengths, right?
Yeah, the sergeant chuckles again. And he quiets down a bit as he sees you reach to go open the door. Because he doesn't want Phaedrith to overhear those kind of things he's saying.
Sure.
But yeah, so you walk into the study, and you can see in the corner there's the bearded devil statue that you saw. And Phaedrith is sitting at his desk, looking over things. And he looks up from his work just briefly, and barely acknowledges you. He says, oh, hello, and just immediately turns right back to his work.
What are you working on?
He has that book in his hand. He says the extended summoning book that works on evil creatures. He says, I'm certain that I can change this so that it works for all creatures or for good aligned creatures, but the taint of hell is strong within it.
Can I look?
He seems reluctant. He pauses for a moment, but he says, certainly. He invites you over to take a look.
So Nero will just be looking at it, be schmoozing him about what is going on.
Okay. You can toss me a diplomacy check, see how well you're schmoozing. Yeah. Yeah. So Phaedrith is like, I can sense this aura here, and he's explaining what he found out and kind of doing that. And as he's doing it, and as you're looking and flipping it through it, he actually thanks you for your help. Like, thank you for your suggestions regarding my trial yesterday. Why do you get a +3 on a 1-on-1 check?
Because it's his legalistic curse.
Oh, good. Yeah, so you schmooze him super hard. And he thanks you profusely. He's like, hey, thanks so much for helping me with the trial yesterday. I was surprised when it came down to the seventh voice, when the people... I figured the council would certainly find me innocent, and I think the only reason the people found me... innocent was, the words you said, the things you told me, and me holding my tongue. He chuckles a bit.
I mean, getting trusted to the rabble is a dangerous thing. And I'll be honest with you, I felt a lot of guilt about you getting run in, probably because of me being able to identify that bottle so quickly. I think there was a lot of jumping to conclusions. I think there's a lot of jumping to conclusions now.
Phaedrith agrees with you. He nods and says, I don't know what crawled up Appian's ass, but he has it out for me now. I don't know what's going on, but even during the trial and after the trial, he seems furious with me.
Are the Caribou Angels here to watch you?
He says, I don't know. Appian had them installed. I haven't talked to them.
Okay. Interesting. So Nero will basically be schmoozing him this and that and the other thing, and he's sort of proposing, like he's trying to like build an environment where they're talking back and forth about like what they're working on, and trying to aid one another. But he proposes the bit about the Protectorate, and while he's talking, he says, if I was able to meet some of the leadership of this, insurrection that's going on, this Thrune insurrection, I'd love a chance to negotiate a peace.
He laughs. Says, peace with Thrune. After everything that's been done here, after everything that's happening now, and he goes on to list we're at the walls of Sonara, from what I understand.
You're at the walls of Sonara. God forbid what happens if they don't succeed.
He seems like that's an impossibility in his mind. He says, Iomedae will see us through this. I'm certain of it. Sonara will fall.
I hope you're right, because if not, all that pressure that's at Sonara now is coming our way. And if I can't find a legal loophole or some way to set us up to be safe, we got big problems.
He raises an eyebrow when you say legal loophole. He's like, what do you mean legal loophole?
This book. And Nero starts launching into the whole idea of what a protectorate is, and legally the status you would have, that you'd have some legal status outside of Thrune.
He seems as surprised as all the underlings, but he seems to understand it more. He seems more intellectually engaged with the idea, at least. And he says, I don't know if they would stand for such a thing, but to keep my people safe, I consider anything, I suppose.
Imagine a Hellforged contract.
And
that'd be it.
You see him kind of look away begrudgingly when you say Hellforged, but he does understand that a binding contract in the presence of devils that is a real thing here in Shaliak. That's how things get done, and devils and those that worship them primarily are very much they do abide by what they've written down. They do abide by contracts, but they are very apt to manipulate them and twist and turn them and put in loopholes for themselves. So he says, I'd have to read such a contract very carefully, but if it's possible to exist as an independent entity, we could pursue that.
But think about a contract you and I looked over and made for this town. Something interesting I'm also thinking about. You might not know this, I'm a minor noble.
He says, really? Of which house?
House Nero.
He laughs at your name, because your name is Nero of House Nero.
I know, it's ridiculous. It's a family name. I'm the third son of a third son.
He says, oh.
So you can imagine the kind of influence we have.
Yeah, he says, oh, and he pauses for a moment, looks dejectedly at you, as if you will inherit nothing. You are the third son of a third son.
But think about if we have a noble house declare for Cantaria. If I declare all the halflings my property and then sign papers that name them all free. And think about if we did this all under law that would be applicable to Thrune, what kind of place we could make.
Toss me another diplomacy check.
Oh.
Yeah, that's still
27.
Yeah, so he seems amenable to the idea. He says, as long as the contract was written properly, and we understood what we were getting into, that seems possible. But he shakes his head. He's like, I don't know why the Thrune would accept such a deal.
Well, and I think legally is that we find grounds that they have no choice but to accept.
He seems a little more interested in that. He's like, I'm not sure exactly how that would work, but if and he points to your book, he's like, if the answer's in there, I'm willing to hear it.
If I find it, you'll be one of the first to know because I'll need help drawing up a contract.
And he laughs. He says, like, well, I look forward to hearing what you find, and I would certainly help you with that if you need.
I mean, I've got 3 books. I'm not going to be able to pour through all 3. Maybe when you're not doing this, you can pour over one of the books.
He nods. You can see a little bit of frustration in his face. Like, I'm so far behind already, but this may warrant some of my time. This may warrant investigation.
Well, and I'm going to be back here anyway, so if I leave a book and you don't get to it, nothing lost anyway. So, but if you, are eating and need a break and want to think about something else, good to keep your mind plastic, right?
Certainly. He nods and says, feel free to leave whatever book you like, and I'll peruse it.
Sounds good. So Nero will step over here and just be perusing the bearded devil statue.
Yeah, it's a bearded devil statue. It's made of gold, I believe, actually. Like, it's a foot tall, so it's shorter than the Kerubu angels. And you did identify it properly last time. I looked back, and you believe that if it was shattered or just even punctured at all, that it would summon a bearded devil. It would summon the thing that is the likeness of, under control of the person who shattered it.
So Nero will be talking about the bearded devil and about, Hell Knight initiations and that sort of thing. The idea that he was librarian to some Hell Knights previously and this and that, and that there's a lot of assholes in the order.
You're saying all this to Zane?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is the first time you told someone in the Glorious Reclamation that you were associated with Hell Knights.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
it's fine.
Yeah, Zane seems very intrigued. He asks you which order? Where were you? Where were you stationed?
I wasn't really stationed. My master, I was basically, they were looking for someplace to apprentice me, and you can imagine with the influence my house has, that was difficult in Cheliax. So basically, I got shipped off to one place after another. They tried to make me an Asmodean cleric, but that didn't take. They tried to make me a wizard, but they couldn't get me into one of the schools, not enough influence, and I ended up being an apprentice librarian to this very old man. The very old man basically had a bunch of heretical texts and was allowed to keep it because he'd found a loophole in the law and he didn't disseminate the texts, and I was basically going to be apprenticed as a librarian. And he found a way that if he gave the books to the Order of the God Claw, where they don't burn books, that they would keep his library whole. So we were sort of in the process of moving books to them.
He's quiet the entire time, but he has many questions as you give him this bits and pieces of the story. The first thing is basically, what sort of heretical text? What are you referring to?
Old histories, books about different gods, books about Erodin, books about, all sort of things. I just imagine a library without limitations.
His eyes go wide, and he says, where are these texts now?
Some of them were with the Order of the God Claw at
Citadel
Dinjar in Isger, and some of them were in the capital at his manor.
He seems rather intrigued. He says, well, certainly the things that were in Dinjar, the Glorious Reclamation would have access to now. They're the ones that took the Citadel.
Probably.
So he seems really intrigued. He's like, what else can you tell me? Like, what sort of histories? You don't have to be specific about it, but he seems extremely interested in the forbidden history books.
So Nero basically will give him sort of a general rundown, but pretty light on specific details about what they have. But, this and that and the other thing. I'd overseen a few shipments of books, but they were moving books. I was away trying to find books on Heart's Edge when the Citadel fell.
He nods. He says, okay. He's like, yes, I heard, I know what happened to the Citadel, and I believe your order is broken up for the most part, or captured. I believe the Glorious Reclamation has some of them as prisoners.
I suppose.
So he's commiserating with you generally, but he seems very interested in your books and this your story. He says, so what else did you do for the Order of the Godclaw?
I have some healing skill, so I became kind of useful. I won't bore you with the details, but something awakened in me. I'm able to heal. I'm able to do some minor magic. I'm sort of interested if it wouldn't help to use that book to summon something evil and see how it actually worked in practice. Can you do that?
He shrugs and says, I'm certain if you can summon an evil creature that, the book would work. I'm certain that would work. If you'd like to, sure, as long as it was under your control.
Sure. I mean, if that's something we could do that in the next room and see how it works.
And he glances to you, and then he looks out the door, and he says, I don't know if you want to do it in front of the other Glorious Reclamation. Like, I don't think you want to summon a devil in front of them.
Fair enough. Is it that? It's so strange to me, because what's the law in magic? I'm not sacrificing human beings. I'm summoning a tool.
He agrees with you. He nods and says that's how I understand it as well, but they don't see it that way. The zealots of the church, they don't understand that power is power. It's how it's controlled.
Okay, so yeah, Nero will continue to do this sort of thing, just schmooze him as best he can and just try to get to the bottom of things.
You did some great schmoozing, yeah. So he basically says, like, I agree with you, and this will probably, this will work. Like, I'm sure if you use the item, you'll be able to understand it more. I can't summon any evil creatures. I'd love to see it in action. Again, if we do it in front of them, I'm sure they'd report to Oppian that we were summoning devils here, and we'd be back on trial again tomorrow.
Maybe. Okay, so Nero will summon a devil eventually. What were we just talking about? We were just talking about, Nero basically is talking about the idea that, like, it's too bad that Heart's Edge was found by the Godclaw Order, because almost any other order that attacked, you might have still been able to ally with the Godclaw. The Godclaw is dedicated to law, not necessarily to evil,
Zane nods, and he agrees. He says most of their Hell Knight orders, are decidedly evil. But he agrees that the Godclaw are one of the good ones. Like, they're striving towards legalism over evil. And he looks you over again as you remember, as you saying that you were once an acolyte of Asmodeus before you failed out of that. He says they are certainly honorable people. They can be reasoned with. You can be reasoned with.
So, anyway, we'll see what we can scare up. It'd be really interesting to declare a protectorate under the Godclaw and see what happened. Because law being law, it'd be very interesting. But anyway, I digress. Let's summon a devil.
He says that I don't believe we could be able to do it here, and I'm not sure if they're going to be following or watching me. But perhaps you could take the book and let record what sort of auras are around it and report back.
If you'd like.
He sees no reason not to. So yeah, so he hands you the book.
All right.
And says, like, please, do it in secret. Do it somewhere where they're not gonna be watching you. Don't let them know that you have the book. And
Is it just devils? Is it demons? What is it? What do you think?
He says, I believe it to be any evil creature, but based on everything else I've read in this library, I believe it's specifically for devils, but I think it would work on any evil creature.
Interesting. Alright, interesting. Well, I'll take a look and see what I can figure out. Anyway, let's continue, and he's basically going to debate as long as Zane will debate with him about X and Y and Z.
Yeah, so he debates with you for quite a while, actually. He'll go for hours talking about things, because you're the most engaging intellectually person in this town. Most other people can't keep up with him, and you're going tit for tat with all his relics and things like that. And he's very interested in all the books you have, and even though you were kind of light on the details, he kind of pokes and prods you to figure out, like, what have you read? Like, what do you have in that head of yours, basically? Because in Shellyax, one of the big things is the Order of the, I think it's the Pike. They go around and they burn history books, like kind of what Nero was getting at. Like, Thrune will rewrite history every couple of years, and then send this Hell Knight Order out to burn all of the old books, so that like the ancient histories are forgotten and rewritten, so that Thrune has always been great. Like, we have always been at war with Oceania, kind of stuff. So they go back and they'll erase entire noble families from their books. It's like they just never existed. But these ancient texts might have, things about Shellyax that people might not want to be known. And he's very interested in these sort of things, so he's kind of poking at you and just seeing, like, what do you know about this? Or I heard of this house, but I've never read anything about them. What do you know about this?
Assuming Nero knows, whatever Nero knows, he's not shy about sharing, though he's not into sharing the details of the specifics of what was delivered to the library. I'm sure he knows that.
Okay.
But he's not into delivering that.
Okay, understood. But, again, Zane is very happy to hear this. So, like, he mentions a noble family, and you give him a little more detail, something he didn't know, and you actually see him rush to get a book, and he begins writing things down, because this is important forgotten information to him. This is very, very interesting. And you guys go back and forth for a couple hours, and he's happy with what you're doing. He's happy with the information you've offered him, and he seems interested in your idea of a protectorate.
Okay.
Anything else?
So, do they know? Do the guys out there? Do they know those statues are alive?
He shrugs. I don't know. I barely talk to them. I wish they weren't here. I just tend to my work.
I mean, if there's angels here, I don't know that they need to have guards here as well, right?
She shrugs and says, I don't know why Appian does anything anymore.
Okay, fair enough. I'll deny this if you say I said this. I don't know that Appian can rule this town.
He raises an eyebrow. He says, what do you mean?
I don't think that Appian will be accepting of what'll have to happen for this town to survive. I think he'd rather blaze of glory than do what needs to be done to keep this town alive.
And Faderith kind of, you see his eyes just look up for a couple of minutes, and he pauses and he says, I believe that to be right. I don't know that he would be able to accept any sort of agreement with the House of Thrune. I don't believe that to be possible.
Okay. I just didn't want to think I was the only one that thought that. I think he's a good man, but not all men are cut out to rule.
He nods. He says, again, I don't understand his hatred for me. I don't understand the anger and animosity he has. Especially after Calcyra confirmed that everything I said was true. He still found me guilty after all that. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I was trying to find Calcyra. She ran off somewhere, and I wanted to run the idea by her, just because if it's something that people are amenable to, then maybe it's something we should explore. But we'll see, I guess.
He doesn't know anything about Calcyra. He's like, she travels quite often. I don't know where she would be headed to.
Interesting. Yeah, she ran off with all her dogs, just left, and none of the acolytes knew where she went, and who knows? I'll have to check in again today.
He nods and says, that seems fine with me.
Okay.
Anything else here with Phaedrith or...
No, sorry, I'm eating up a lot of time.
Alright, I will take you back to the Luskwood map. And I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick. Everybody can take a quick, 2-minute break if you need it, and I'll be right back.
That was pretty awesome.
That was
fun.
That was pretty good.
It's going to be interesting when Nero conveys that conversation to the group, actually. There's going to be a lot of, scribbling out of plans in notebooks again.
Yeah.
What's our end game?
I mean, at some point we're gonna have to storm the fastness for sure.
I mean, it'd be nice to have Zane with us.
I don't think we'll get Zane with us, but maybe we will get Zane where he doesn't want to take. You know what I mean?
You just remain buried in his work with his head down, kind of thing.
Right.
Dude, maybe
Yeah.
you could offer to, like, well, I guess the God Claw is, wait, you said the God Claw is kind of dissolved right now?
Yeah.
Alright. Like, maybe you could hook him up with, a position or something like that.
I mean, I don't think I have that kind of swing, but
Keep rolling diplomacies like you
He
do,
doesn't-
and you'll have plenty of swing.
Just say that you'll do what you can. So, you've proven yourself being an effective individual, so he'll probably trust you.
yeah, maybe.
Alright.
Did you, by the way, Mosky, did you get my notes on the spell list that Iwan gave Perko?
Yes.
I put it in the VTC.
Yep. Let me make a note of that in my notes.
And again, it's like totally fine if he chooses one outside that list. I just
Sure.
those are ones that she uses a lot. So
Okay. So, Bob, you are arriving just outside town now. They did their
Is
morning
Bob there?
snacks. Oh, I guess not. Hello again, Bob.
Hey, there's a boy.
Hey guys. Oh
Hey,
yeah.
so you're arriving just outside town, and you're pretty banged up still from the fight. You got like bruised ribs and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're arriving just. You can now see Cantaria. What is your plan?
I'm gonna go up to my buds, who I assume are hanging out in the bar.
You gonna go to the little Uswood?
Yeah.
So Nero's not there immediately. He was hanging out with Zane for a couple hours. But when you get there, Iwan's there, and Vors. What did you want to do anything after hanging out with Jenna for breakfast?
I'd probably head back to the Westwood.
Okay. Yeah, so
He'd
you
roll
get,
another fortitude check.
so you get there, and Vors is there, Iwan's there, and Laura Donna is also there.
I don't know if I trust Loredon yet. Okay, so I'm going to walk
is
in.
he like visibly? Is he visibly like wounded?
How are you carrying yourself, Bob? Because you wear a bunch of armor. He's got a chain shirt on, so I don't know if you wouldn't be able to see.
So he's not like visibly bloody or anything like that. Otherwise,
No, I would say no. He's not like spitting blood or
Okay.
anything like that.
okay.
Are you limping, Bob? Or are you walking tall?
I'm walking tall if I can.
Yeah, you're fine. You might be a little burned. There might be some burns.
Okay, so I walk into the bar,
Mhm.
and I walk over to Iwan, and I try to pull Iwan aside.
Okay.
Okay, if you're trying to be secretive about it, she'll understand and take the cue and like move over to a corner or something.
Alright, so then Bob starts telling Iwan about the horrible fire that was bestowed on his men.
Vors raises an eyebrow, and they walk over to the corner.
Yeah, Vors can't know
You mean that? So Iwan will just she'll kind of be surprised. She'll be like, "You mean that dwarf bitch could fight?"
Yes. And then Bob lifts up his chainmail to like show some of the bruises.
Iwan will be like visibly very surprised. Like, wow, I had no idea that she would be able to do something like that. What happened?
She just came into the camp after we had raided the caravan.
And just like assaulted you all?
Well, we feared for our lives, so we took care of her.
Oh, so she's dead.
Very much, yes.
Good. I'm actually glad to see her gone.
Yes. And nobody will ever find her again.
And the men. I mean, if you were this beaten up, Like,
The-
is there anybody left?
There are men left. Nobody died that I remember. Many of them are unwell though, and they are still not awake.
Oh, okay. And what of the camp? Is that still where you guys moved? I'm assuming, right?
Yes, we have a new camp that was strategically placed or picked by one of my men.
Okay. So, is there? Does anybody have a map handy? Like, is there something that we could like bring out so he could show us where the hell they are?
Joseph,
I don't know if you have a map.
well, does somebody like have a map? Would
Hey, you'd be able to generally explain where they are.
Yeah. So maybe Ivan will take out a piece of paper and like draw what she knows.
right?
And Vors and Bob can help fill in the gaps and stuff, and she'll just be like, okay,
War's
this is
involved.
where you. What's that?
War's involved. I thought he was talking just that one.
Oh, aren't you there too? Didn't you say you came over?
No, Vors was standing over there. I pulled you aside.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then never mind. So she'll pull it out and like bring out the
I kind
map.
of
and,
assumed Vors would come over when I started like lifting up my shirt to you.
yeah, at this point maybe Ivan will look over to Vors and like signal him over. Like clearly he needs to understand what's going on. So if he sees.
I'll come over if beckoned, but I was going to respect.
Yeah, so you're officially beckoned. So she'll try to draw the map as best she can and just be like, all right, this is where I think you guys were, and she'll try to like work to agreement. Like this is where the camp was. Where the hell are you now?
So Bob points to where we are now.
Okay.
There's a pretty notable river near where the camp is, so he knows the bend of the river, so he's able to approximate where he is on the map.
Right.
Yeah. So she'll understand that it's like a couple hours away, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Bob would like to convey that he is concerned about how she was able to find the camp in the first place.
Yeah. That does suggest that maybe, I don't know, people are watching.
Well, are people watching, or can we not trust Zara?
Oh, you think Zara's behind this?
Michael Mosky thinks that. Bob does not know anything.
So Bob says no, I'm assuming then?
Yeah, Bob says I have no proof.
Okay. I mean, I haven't spent much time with Zara myself, but she seemed like she was on the wrong side of things here. If you have no reason to believe it, then I think it's much more likely that they're getting suspicious, and given the general paranoia going on in the town, it would seem to make sense.
Now, Bob has been out of the town for a while, so he's not sure about the paranoia.
Yeah, so she'll talk him through, like, he wasn't there for the trial either, right?
Right.
Correct.
Okay. So she'll talk him through the trial also. She'll be like, there's a lot of paranoia. There was a split jury. There's like, Zane got accused of shit. There was a back and forth between him and Appian. Like there's a whole bunch of shit going on here. And that may or may not have a lot to do with us.
Understood. Okay, then that makes more sense.
Um,
But still, like she showed up with two rock dogs.
Can I make a knowledge check to see if I can discern what the hell he's talking about?
Yes, and you've actually, I'm pretty
Have
sure
I
you
seen-
know.
have
Yeah,
we
you've seen
seen
them.
Okay, we saw the rock dog. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. We
Yeah,
saw them.
You went to the temple, and she even explained that they were her pets and that they were there to guard sacred spaces.
Okay. Can I make a knowledge check to see if I would know if they're able to track things well?
Sure. Go ahead and make a knowledge check. Alright. Iwin doesn't know if they would be capable of tracking things, and Vors knows a bit about them, and let's see. They're not especially good at tracking. Vors doesn't believe that, like, they wouldn't be used as hunting dogs, for example.
Okay.
I tell Alan. Bob.
Okay.
So I will she'll say, So you mentioned that there were a lot of men who were hurt. Do we need to get like us and Nero out there to patch him up?
Yes, I've been looking for Nero, but he's not here, obviously.
Yeah. He should be back shortly. He's actually been out for a lot longer than we would have expected. So, I guess we'll just kind of suggest that they, spend some time catching each other up on the events, and basically waiting for Nero to come so that they can mobilize together.
Okay. Bob supports that plan. We need Nero.
Okay. Do you guys want to do anything while you wait? Because Nero's going to be like another hour or two, but he's eventually going to show up at the Little Esquid, presumably. So would you want to do anything in the meantime?
Bob would like to eat, because he just walked a lot.
But Loredana can fix you up something. Yeah, that's good. Anything else?
Bob's going to hit on Vors's girlfriend.
She's not here. Are you're going to go to the Swedish Drop Tavern?
Yeah.
Oh.
So if he goes to start leaving, Iwan would be like, if you leave, just try to stay out of sight. Like try not to be so obvious that you're around town and make a big deal about yourself.
And whatever you do, do not show that hammer to anyone.
He hides the hammer somehow.
How?
And does he tell them where he's going? Because I would basically be like, when Nero gets back, like, we can come find you if you're still not back.
Yeah. He says he's gonna go to the Swedish Drop Tavern,
Alright.
and Bob looks at Vors in that moment, kind of saying like, "Let's go."
Do you want to go with him to the Swedish Drop Tavern?
Sure.
Alright.
It'd be good for somebody to keep an eye on him anyway.
Yeah. I don't have a map, but I will bring Jana here. Oop. And I'll change the music. Boop. And it's almost lunchtime now, so it is kind of picking up. It's not people aren't like rowdy drunk or anything like that, but it is beginning to pick up, and there's already some performers playing. And yeah, you get there, and Jana's behind the bar, and she basically says, "Oh, hello," and she sees Vors, and she smiles, "Hello, Vors, and who's your friend?" Not sure.
Friend's a strong word, but he needs a drink.
She nods and she says, "Two of the usual, then."
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so she goes to get the booze, and she presents it to you. If you try to pay her, she says, "Your money is no good here. Don't worry about that." And she puts the drink in front of both Bob and you.
That's it.
Bob's uneasy right now.
Sorry?
Bob is uneasy about the free drinks.
I tell her, don't worry, I'll make it up to you.
She smirks and laughs a little bit. She giggles.
Bob would like to know what the hell you're talking.
Did you roll 2? Why did you roll 2?
I was concerned about the free drinks.
Oh, you don't believe she has any nefarious purpose with the free drinks. And what's the second one for?
I'm trying to figure out how Vors is getting us free drinks.
Oh, yeah, so you don't pick up. So Vors and Jenna are doing these little smirks and giggles and stuff like that, but you're completely missing out on all of it. You don't understand what's going on there. But, again, you don't believe there's any nefarious purpose to the free drink.
Okay.
I hold my drink up to make cheers with Bob.
Bob cheers us, I suppose.
All right. And Morris starts drinking to show him that it's not poison.
Probably not poison. Yeah. So Jana's bustling around because, like I said, there are some people already drinking, and she's getting the lunch rush is starting. So she's moving food between the tables and stuff like that. She doesn't have a server on staff right now, but she's moving back and forth, and she's casually talking to Vors as she does so.
Or it just makes small chit chat. He's not really trying to engage her at all.
Okay.
He's certainly not being dismissive, but
Understood. Bob?
Well, I guess Bob trusts her now. Bob asks if there's any food to eat.
And she says, yeah, she's moving lamb. He's like she's moving mutton between the tables. She's like, would you like some lamb?
Yeah, Bob says that would be great.
Sure. So she comes over and she brings you some spiced lamb. Both of you make a fort save too to see if you get a little tipsy from the one beer.
It's
Nah, you guys are good. Yeah. Yeah, so she comes by, she brings you the lamb, and it's delicious. It's nice spiced lamb. And did you want anything, Boris? Did you want food too?
I'll have a dish. I'll lunch.
Sure. So she gives you both food. And again,
So-
she doesn't want to take any money. She's happy to serve you guys.
So when Bob starts eating this, he's very like over the top, saying it's the best lamb he's ever eaten.
Well, she's very happy to hear you say that. She's like, I cooked it myself.
And then Bob says, "And such a beautiful woman."
All right, toss me a diplomacy check. Unless you're lying, then throw me a bluff check.
No, I guess she's probably attractive. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. So you basically trip over your own words. Why don't you role play being poor at that?
That's a nat 1.
Congratulations.
That's a nut. Yeah. So I fumble.
What do you say? How do you mess that up?
I guess I tell her you're almost as beautiful as the lamb.
So she looks at you very curious, and she doesn't understand what you're trying to get at. And she says, "Thank you, I think." And she turns to Vors like, "Who is this person?"
Boris just kind of gives a smile and shrugs. Like,
Are you wearing the helmet, Bob?
There were no markings on the helmet, so yes.
Yeah, it's very distinctive though, the Sideshow Bob hair.
All right, then no, we're not.
Right, yeah, so she seems very confused. She doesn't know who you are or what's going on, but she basically dismisses you after your weird comment. And she turns to Vors and says, the trial yesterday, that was crazy. I did not think that he'd be found guilty. Or I didn't think the panel would be so split.
yeah, I didn't either. But like, I don't know. I think like Bathurst was innocent at heart, so I think like we got to the right outcome, even though it was so close.
She nods and says, Calcira said as much. I don't understand how Oppian could vote like that. And Linton and what's the other one? Loredana. I don't understand how they voted guilty.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I don't know with Linton, he may have just wanted to like put it to the people. Like I don't think that he necessarily thought that Zane was guilty. At least that's how I read the situation.
She shakes her head. That's a dangerous game. I don't know that I would have trusted a man's life to something like that, or his freedom, at least.
Well, I don't know. Like, in talking with Linton, like he seems to have like a pretty good like handle on what's going on around town. So I think he probably wouldn't tread into that territory lightly. Like I trust that he knew what he's doing.
And you can see her. She's shaking her head a bit. She's not happy with that sort of like attitude. Like put it to the people. Basically, I guess if this town is truly democratic, if what the Glorious Reclamation is saying is true, if this is the sort of nation they want to build, I suppose that's okay. But again, putting someone's fate in the hands of the mob, I don't know about that.
No, I'm with you. Like I don't think it was necessarily the right thing to do, but I think that's what he was doing, and I think he had good intentions.
She nods. I've known him for a long time. I wouldn't know him to do something like that. If he wouldn't do that lightly.
Right.
She looks back at Bob, who's just scarfing down mutton. You want to say anything else?
Bob would like to I don't know, I guess give her like sexy eyes.
You gonna give her sexy eyes?
Yeah, but I don't know what Bob's sexy eyes would look like though.
Alright, so that's a bluff check.
Probably
That's
a lot
that you're
of
trying to
crazy
convey
eyes.
a message with that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So you give her some decent sexy eyes, and she's just not happy with that. She doesn't find you appealing as of yet. But she understands what you're trying to do with your eyes, and she looks back at Vors and is just like, who is this person? What does he want?
Just like, or just tries to give her like the best be cool shrug that he can.
You can make a bluff check too to see if you can convey your secret message to her.
I study Jenna.
Sure, you've been studying her this whole time. She's very well studied. Yeah. So you give her this shrug, like just be cool. Like I don't know him very well, but just be cool. And she's like, okay. And she plays coy with you, Bob. Like she's basically saying like, oh, she's basically making it like, you know, oh, nothing's gonna happen, but you know, I understand what you're getting at. But she didn't like your lamb joke. She asked you if you were at the trial, Bob. Did you see what happened?
Bob says no. I just came into town today.
Oh, this is your first day here? Welcome to Cantaria.
Thank you. It's a beautiful town.
Make another bluff check, because you've been here before.
Yeah.
Not a nat one. But...
Well, so she doesn't think you're lying, but she's looking at you very curiously. You see like she's trying to study your face a bit, but she doesn't think you're lying. She's like, oh, well, welcome to town, welcome to Cantaria. You know, what are you here for?
I just came to see my good friend Iwan.
Like, oh, you're friends with Iwan, the gnome,
Yes.
the gnome lady.
Yes.
And she nods. She says, I've met her a couple times. Seems like a nice gal.
Yeah, she's pretty great.
How did you know her?
We were old friends from the past.
Old friends from the past. And she's like, oh. Okay. I heard she was from Longacre. She was in Longacre for a while. Were you with her there?
No, I was not.
No, she says, oh, that's too bad. I love hearing stories about Longacre.
I don't know too much about it. She doesn't talk about it that often.
She nods and says, Lors here was also in Longacre. Like, how long have you known him?
Not very long, and not very personally.
Yeah, I just introduced us, like this morning actually.
Oh, okay. So she's, okay. And she's looking around, and it's getting a little busier, and she's like, I don't know where that serving girl is. Hold on, I have to go run some more plates. So she goes and she gets some more food for the tables and starts taking a couple of orders. Anything you two want to discuss while she's gone?
Bob looks to Vors and says, I think this girl's really into me.
I think so too, bud. Yeah, yeah, I don't know though. She has pretty high standards. I think, like I've heard she's a bit of a prude.
You can make a sense motive to see if you think he's lying.
That's a good point. Nope.
No, you don't.
So like, so how long's it been, man? Like, been out, like, what about that Zara chick? Like, she seems like she might be into you.
Oh yeah, we don't get along.
Like, that's like some of the best though. Like, just take it out on each other.
I guess. I don't think it would end well for either of us.
Well, why not? Like, I've seen otter couples.
I would probably kill her if we were taking it out on each other.
I mean, like, I don't know.
Literally.
Like, you just have to have a really strong safe word.
Bob wants to roll a knowledge check.
I want to say where it is.
Yeah. Does he know? Does Bob know what a safe word is?
Okay, go make a knowledge check. Yes, you rolled very well.
Oh, okay. Bob says, I still don't think that would work.
Why not?
Bob finishes his beer and walks away.
Yeah, so Jana begins coming back, and you see she's got a piece of paper with a bunch of things written down, and she's walking towards the kitchen, and she sees Bob start to walk away. She's like, oh, are you leaving?
Bob says, yes, thank you. You're still as beautiful as the land tasted.
You see her feign a smile, but she doesn't do very well. She's like, eh. And she looks at Vors as Vors gets up to leave as well, presumably.
Yeah, Boris finishes his beer and says, "Thanks, Jana. I'll see you soon."
Okay. So she nods and she waves goodbye to you. And you guys get back to the Little Uskwood, and Nero just showed up not too long before you guys did.
Alright, Bob basically goes through the same thing with Nero again.
Okay.
I was gonna start hitting on Loredana. Like,
So you explain like what happened, that you moved the camp.
Oh, yeah. So what happened with Iwin? Basically, I'm just doing that again.
Okay. And do you show him that you're injured?
Yes, I lift up my shirt.
Okay, so Nero will drop a heal on you. We'll cure light wounds you. See if we can get you back up. So Nero's listening to your story as he heals you. He says, you know, there are two of the angels that we saw in Longacre, those arrow angels, those little cherubs, in the manor house now.
So they really are babysitting him then.
Yes. Interestingly, there are also... there's also quite a few guards there.
well, I mean,
How many?
if they're there, they're not at Valor's fastness. So.
Sure, that's true. 4 or 5. Even more interestingly is when I brought up the idea, so I've been researching the idea of making Cantaria protectorate if we declare ourselves legally independent but subservient to Thrune in some way.
Sure.
I'm trying to find something in a book if I can and get it contractually approved by a devil. Thrune will have no choice but to honor it.
Bob kind of murmurs about you and your books.
So, but interestingly, Zane would be for it.
Really?
You're as surprised as I am. I thought I'd float the idea and see what he thought, and he'd shoot it down. Interested.
And you didn't get a sense that he was like faking it or anything to try to just appease you, or like this is a real thing. He's.
I mean, I suppose he might have, but he doesn't really occur to me as the kind of guy who's big on guile. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. So, I mean, conceptually, I think I understand this. Have you or he already figured out like what the language would look like around this?
First day of reading, but I'm not really sure. Bob, do you think you were followed to town?
I don't.
But you also acknowledge that maybe someone's spying on you.
Yes.
The appearance of angels at the manor house, something fishy's going on. I have an idea to propose if you all are amenable.
Bob's listening.
Yeah.
If Bob were to hit me in the face and drag me out of here, I could go to the camp and heal everyone. And you two would be able to, without lying, say that Bob hit me in the face and started to drag me out, and then I told him I'd go willingly.
Fair enough. I mean, I don't care about lying, but yes, that's true.
But if we can negotiate a peace, I mean... Oh, I suppose we don't really have to worry about lying anymore with Calcira gone.
Bob's getting ready to punch you in the face.
I wanna create the illusion that I was taken out of here and taken to the camp. It gives me the opportunity to propose to the council making a peace with the people loyal to Thrune. Gives me the opportunity to propose the idea of the Protectorate. It gives me the opportunity to do a lot of things.
Bob's gonna go get a beer.
Does it sound reasonable?
I mean, no,
It sounds reasonable,
that's
but
fair.
Bob needs a beer right now. Does Bob have the beer?
I mean,
Yes.
I worry. I worry a little bit about you guys getting ambushed on the road if they think that Bob's gotten aggressive. But I guess if they've been spying on him, they probably already know that maybe that ship has sailed.
All right, are we gonna do this?
I mean, it's nothing to say that you guys couldn't tail us. If we take the horse, you'd probably be able to follow the tracks pretty easily, yeah?
Well, and we already know where the camp is. I mean, Bob and I we talked about that. I think we could
okay.
find it pretty easily.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm still like a little bit curious about the Zane thing. So she's like, I think that's a good plan. I just like before we get off the topic of Zane, like you mentioned, you guys still haven't figured out the actual language. I mean, I'm more than willing to pour through books with you. I think this is a good idea. So
Let's do some reading then. But let's get the rest of your gang fighting trim first. Bob, now the unpleasantness.
Bob, okay, so Bob's going to take his beer and smash it on the table.
Loredana, you've overheard all this?
She knows better than to specifically listen. Let's see how well she listened anyway, though. Yeah, she heard most of that.
Is anybody else in here?
No?
All right, Bob unsmashes that beer and drinks it. He drinks half of it and gives the other half to Nero.
Nero drinks the other half of the beer, puts the stein down, closes his eyes and says, okay, I'm ready.
And Bob, I suppose,
Boris gets ready behind Nero to catch him.
wait, do I just hit the fist on my offense?
Yeah, just to see if you miss horribly, yeah. Yeah, so you
that's
threat, roll it again, yeah. Yeah, so you crit Nero, so roll a d3 twice. And then we're going to add 8. Yeah, so you do 12 damage to Nero's face. It's non-lethal damage, though. I'm just going to apply it as regular damage because it's easier for me. I don't have that macro Nate has.
Fine.
So yeah, you crack him in the face for 12 damage, and he doesn't fall unconscious, but his nose is bleeding.
Stop! If people are hurt, I'll go with you, okay?
Bob starts screaming like a maniac and dragging you out.
And Nero sort of like placates Loredana as he's leaving with him.
Right.
Loredana, she looks confused and shocked, but yeah, she sees you walking out. So basically, he's got you by the cuff of your cloak or whatever it is, your gray cloak, and he's dragging you out of town.
Boris just mentions to Loredana, like, Nero knows what he's doing. Apparently.
It's not the first time that he's taken a hit to enact one of his plans. So I think it's just part of his deal.
And I think he might be into it a little bit too.
Alright, so they're leaving town, and what are Vors and Iwin doing for the near term?
Well, I think Iwin would start kind of furiously reading through, assuming that Nero left one of the books for her, she'd start furiously pouring through that while allowing them to gain some distance.
Okay. You did leave a book, Nero, yeah?
Yeah, Nero will leave one of the so he's got one, Zane has one, Iwin has one.
Understood. Okay. And Vors, what would you like to do while they're getting a head start, I guess, towards the camp?
Already Scarta.
Okay. I will take you to the new loyalist camp.
So Nero basically starts tearing off minor pieces of paper and dropping them as he walks to the camp, just in case, to make sure no one gets lost.
Okay. So you do arrive at the camp. Because, again, a couple hours to get up there. But when you do, one of the loyalists calls out for Zara when she sees you coming. And Zara meets you. You guys are coming from the south. You guys are coming across this little stone walkway, bridge thing. And Zara
Nero...
Yeah?
So Nero will basically loudly declare before Zara can talk, I'm here as a friend, I'm just here to help. I'm I'm neutral in this situation. He's sort of trying to give her the idea of what's going on.
Sure. Toss a bluff check. See if she understands what you're doing or is confused by it. That I have to actually look up.
Pretty close.
Yeah. But yeah, so let's assume that for now she gets that. Let's see. Secret message. No, yeah. So she doesn't understand. She seems confused by that, and she says out loud, "What are you talking about? What do you mean?"
Can I approach?
She nods. Of course, Nero.
So Nero gets close and just whispers, "Just play along."
Okay, so she doesn't nod. She kind of looks at you and looks back and goes, "Okay, what is he doing here?" She looks at Bob. What's the meaning of this?
Look at his face. I made him come here.
And she's for what purpose? Why?
The men.
I'm a healer. Let me see the sick man you have.
Real quick, as an aside, wouldn't Zara remember Nero from when we got her out of prison?
Yes, and she did say his name, and now she's trying to pretend like she doesn't know her. And she looks at Bob as if trying to like, he's here for the men. He's a healer.
He claims to be.
I imagine you heard about me from the town council.
She shakes her head, says, I haven't been to town. Like, since I broke out of the prison, I haven't gone back. I have no idea what's going on there.
So Bob didn't tell you. Okay. So Nero is trying to smooth over stuff, but she's not playing along. Anyway, he's gonna just and he says, I can heal your men, and he leans in closer and whispers, tell them to act as though they don't know me.
Okay. Yeah. So
tell them quietly.
Yeah. So she tries her best not to react. She's doing a very poor job of it, though. But she's doing her best not to do that. And she walks by. She's gonna walk a couple of steps ahead of you, and she's gonna basically just be whispering to the loyalists, like, pretend like you don't know Nero. Pretend like you don't know Nero. And she's just walking to all of them.
Yeah.
But most of them are unconscious. But she does her best. She walks by and she walks a little bit ahead of you and says, like, pretend like you don't know Nero. And all of the guards do their best. I'll just roll a couple of bluff checks. See if they do a good job.
It don't matter.
Yeah. They don't do they don't do very well at acting like they don't know you. They don't address you directly like she did when you first got there, but they, some of them kind of nod at you respectfully a little too much. But yeah, so you get over and you find a lot of injured men. So there's some wounded people and then almost a dozen unconscious people.
Okay, so Nero starts scanning the tree line just to make sure to see if there's anything that he can see that looks amiss.
You don't see anything. You see a bunch of people kind of stationed around, like Zara has some people on watch.
Right.
But you don't see anything amiss.
Okay. All right. So he's just looking to see if there's anyone observing the camp. So he'll start healing fools up. If there's dudes that ability damage is more their thing, let me know, and I'll take care of that too.
The Spawn-dominated loyalists, these two in front, they have some con damage still. But they're
so I'm gonna basically. Okay, I'm gonna burn out everything I've got probably.
Yeah.
6 cure light, 7 cure moderate or restos, and 4 cure serious.
Can oracles channel?
Cannot.
Ooh.
Yeah, which would be nice right here.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead and drop the heals.
So let's start with the cure seriouses.
Guy's awake. That's another guy who's awake. Ooh. Guy's very awake.
And we'll do cure lights after that.
Okay. 7, 11. Yeah, you're able to get a bunch of them awake. A lot of them are still injured, and the spore-dominated ones, they're mostly healed now, but they still have these horrible scars and pockmarks from where these mushrooms were growing out of their bodies for a while.
Okay.
But everybody's conscious now.
How much do I estimate they would need to get like healed up? Do I estimate they need a lot?
No, basically the Sirius has got them topped off, those guys. And the lights, you think, basically, they're all about a third of the way healed from what you did. Like a third to half.
Okay.
So you think more cure lights on them might do it if you get rolled luckily.
Okay. So I have some cure matter, and I'll just drop those and try to get rid of whatever else I can.
Sure. Let's do the ones that are most damage first. 17. Yeah, so you got a bunch of them full, and there's still a couple.
And Nero will be like hamming it up. So basically, like, you know, we'll get you all back to whatever, blah blah blah, and yeah, and basically throwing his name around and that sort of stuff, so that everyone has a reason to know his name.
Okay. Some of them do seem surprised that you're saying like, "Hey, my name is Nero," because some of them, most of them know you.
Yeah.
But yeah, they play along again poorly because they're not trained to do things like this. But you got most of them fighting Trim now. And Zara, seeing all this, she's immediately giving them orders. Like they're basically waking up and like they're like touching their face. They can feel like where they were burned and stuff like that. And Zara's like, "Get your gear, get over there, get on that ridge." And what is Bob doing during all this?
Bob is watching Nero as if Nero were a slave.
Yeah, you pushing him around a little bit. You giving him orders.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah, and then Bob's gonna drag Nero over to the bunyip and say, "You forgot the most important man."
I don't want to touch him.
Bob says, "Don't make me touch you."
Lord.
I don't. Can I sneak in on the bunyip without him eating me alive?
Oh, the bunyip's cool.
It's a wild animal. It might be. I don't know if you can just say the bunyip's cool. Just for the record, it is a wild animal.
All right, I'll hold the bunyip while you heal it.
Grapple check.
Seems like a really bad idea.
All right, I'll do it right now. Hold on.
Gonna grapple the bunyip.
Yeah. I don't even think I've ever actually rolled one of these.
It's on offense. It's the purple background, a hand punching another hand.
Oh yeah. I thought that was a combat maneuver check.
That is. That's how grapples work. So you go to grapple it, and it doesn't want to be grappled exactly. So it's going to try to bite at you. And it misses. Yeah. So it bites your armor and clangs against it, and you rolled just enough to grab it. Yeah. So you have, unless it has, yeah, it doesn't have anything like that. It doesn't have grab or anything cool. So yeah. So you grab it. So you're holding it. You're wrestling it, and is Nero going to touch it?
And Nero touches it and then books away.
Yeah, so you healed it. It's about at half health now.
All right, let it go. Get away.
All right. Bob kisses the bunyip and throws it back.
Yeah, so he wasn't happy with it. It was thrashing around, but you have fed it and you did kind of soothe it once, so it's not leaving, but it's happy to be in the water. It's the happiest it's ever been now that you've healed it a bit, and have actually left it in the water instead of on the grass.
Oh yeah, what skill was it to see if it was happy or not?
Sense motive if you want to see if it's happy. It's handle animal if you want to make it more happy. Yeah, you can tell that it is happier than it's been in the past. It's not in perfect health or anything like that, but it like now that it's in the water, it's definitely happier than it was before.
Fantastic.
So, you and her are the leaders. You and Zara, you said.
The bunyip and I.
Maybe I could speak with you and Zara.
Yes. We should bring her over, wherever she may be.
Yeah, you can call Zara over. She comes. She was bossing around the men.
All right. Why have you called us here?
So it's. I mean, you brought me here to heal these men, which I'm happy to do. I don't want anyone to be hurt or suffer. I think war is silly at this point. But if I was able to negotiate a return to town for you all, if I was able to negotiate all of us coming together, is that something where I could trust you not to attack the town while I'm working on your behalf?
Bob is in agreement with that.
Zara still seems confused about all this subterfuge is kind of going over her head. She doesn't understand. She's like, "But the glorious reclamation, like they imprisoned us." She looks at Bob like, "They put us in prison."
And that was before I was part of the council. That was before I had any power over this town.
Yeah, I would have told her about that, and I believe I did tell her about all of that.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so she didn't seem to remember. She's like, "So you're on the council now? How?"
I was elected by the people.
And she seems to be catching back up. She's like, interesting. So but the church still rules the town, right? Appian is still governor.
Appian is still mayor, governor, I guess would be the title, yes, for now. He's very erratic. I don't know that I'll convince him, but I'm certain if we can find a legal resolution, I can convince the council.
She seems like I don't think Appian or the church is going to relinquish control like that. I don't they put us in jail and they ran us out of town for a reason. Like I'm not sure they allow us back.
Maybe not. But if I was able to negotiate it, you'd abide a lawful treaty, correct?
She has this stern look on her face, and she doesn't seem happy. She's like, I am bound by the law. I respect contracts. I respect that sort of thing. But again, I'd have to see any sort of agreement. I don't like. I can vow not to attack the town if that is what we want. And she looks at Bob and then turns to you, like, is that really what you want? She's confused.
Bob says that we should listen to Nero.
I promise you that no harm will come to you by me. I promise that I won't. I'm not trying to harm you. I'm not trying to trick you, and anything I bring you to will be on the up and up as far as I know.
Okay, Zara seems okay with that. She's a little cautious, but if Bob's on board and Nero's on board, it seems like she seems okay with that. She's like, so we would return to town then, or we would stay here? What would you have us do?
I would say stay here for now, and I'll try to see if I can't work something out with the council.
Okay. She says, okay, we'll stay here. We'll fortify here and we'll wait.
Let me look at your men with the pock marks, and I'll see what I can do for them.
Sure. Yeah, there were two of them that were still injured. One of them has 2 constitution damage, and one of them has 1.
I don't think I have anything that'll help me, but...
Okay, you can just make a heal check then to just kind of bind up their wounds. It won't do that much, but...
Yeah, so I'll just do that. I have a healer's kit.
Sure, go ahead. Give me a heal check.
Where am I?
You're here. Yeah.
+2 on each.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you heal 1. You bind up their wounds, and you can see that they're definitely getting better. Being out in the sun is kind of withered away all the mushrooms and stuff like that, but they do have those horrible, like, gross pock marks. They might have those for quite a while.
Okay, so if you're amenable, I'm going to go back to town.
You talking on mute, Michael Mossy?
I'm sorry, what was the question? I was being
If
asked.
you're amenable, I'm going to go back to town now.
Okay, yeah, that's correct. Bob yells at you and throws you over onto the bridge. Not lethally, of course.
Yeah. So Nero will head back.
Okay. Nero goes back to town, and I will cut you and take you to the other room.
While Nero's walking away, Bob says you didn't see nothing.
Didn't see nothing. All right.
I didn't, but when I come back, it'll be with good news, I hope.
Okay. I have to go to the bathroom again because I'm drinking way too much water because it's hot. But I'll be right back.
So I'll return and basically explain to you guys, probably meet you on the road and sort of explain what went on.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think we can parlay this to our advantage. I need to start meeting with council members.
So the idea is we're going to, like, tell the non-Oppian council members about this plan?
I think we start there, yeah.
All right, no, wait, hold on. I got a question.
Yeah.
That lady that Bob killed was on the council.
Yes.
There's no direct replacement for her yet,
Not yet.
My trouble.
which means that they're going to have to elect somebody before you vote on anything.
Yeah, Nero's going to be in for the halfling guy, but
Okay.
we'll see.
Yeah, my trap should have been on the council already anyway. With Oppian, like, strong-handed that situation and put Elsire there.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a bit ham-fisted.
All right. So, what's up?
That's a nice hockey stick you have there.
Yeah, it's pretty great. It's got some tape on it, some pride tape. Yeah, so Nero's gone for a couple hours, and I guess when you said you were studying your books, and Nero, Vors, what were you doing the whole time?
Vors would have gone out on the horse on Skarta with his bow and like down some small game, like basically so he has like plausible binoculars for being out in the woods, but generally he was like going along the tracks that Nero was playing down.
Okay. Did you want to go all the way to the camp, or were you just kind of just watching his back, basically?
Just watching his back.
Okay. Toss me a survival check, both to give me two of them. One to follow the tracks, and another one to actually catch some small game.
All right.
All right. Yeah. So you're able to follow the tracks, especially because you kind of know where you're going based on the map. And you're not very successful hunting, but you do find a couple of things.
Okay.
You hit a deer, so you bring home some deer to Jana.
Yeah.
So after studying the books for a while and like just letting them get some distance, Iwan would also eventually go out towards the camp, but not all the way there. So if you want me to toss you a survival check too, I can
Sure.
do that.
Are you going with Vors, or are you just kind of wandering on your own through the woods?
I mean, it sounds like Vors kind of went off on his own, so I think she would probably also just eventually wander. Like, she probably would wait to see if he came back, but if he didn't, then she would.
Oh, if Iwan was going to go, he would have gone with her. Like, he didn't just leave on his own. Like, he would have checked in with her.
Okay.
Like, you were just going to, like, hang out and read books.
Once they get to where they're camping out, she'll, like, open up the book again and start reading. Like, that's right now, that's her number one priority, is to, like, understand how they're going to craft this thing.
Okay. Yeah, so you go wandering
With some,
out.
of course. With some of her own objectives, of course.
So as you guys are wandering, a patrol does come upon you. So one of the Glorious Reclamation patrols that is out looking for these loyalists does meet you. So we probably won't need a map unless things turn violent, but I'll just kind of move some people into this area. But I'll just put up these three. So we'll just say that a sergeant meets you guys. And he has a bunch. He has 2 squires and 4 militia volunteers with him.
Ooh.
And
Vors will study the sergeant.
okay, you go ahead and use your eyeball on the sergeant. And he comes up to you and says, "Greetings. Greetings from the Glorious Reclamation. What can you tell me about why you're out here? What are you doing?"
Oh, sergeant, I was just out here hunting. I heard I was going to bring this back for Jana. I heard she was running low on mutton. So I thought she might be able to serve this tonight at the Swedish Drop. Maybe you'd like to. When do you get off shift? Maybe you'd like to come by and have some when we're done. When you're done.
And he says, "We've been on patrol for a week. We're heading back to town today, actually. So that does sound pretty delicious." Yeah. Like,
What's your name? I'll let Jana know that you should have one of the better cuts.
Yeah,
especially like if you've been out for a week, you guys have certainly deserved it. When was the last time you had a hot meal?
He says, we cook whatever we can find, but he gestures to one of the guys behind him. He's not the greatest cook in the world.
Oh, that's a shame. Jana, she knows what she's doing. I'm sure you've had some of her food.
Yeah, her spice lamb is not to be messed with. Yeah, and his name is Sergeant Sheen, by the way.
Nice.
Charles Sheen.
Yeah. So toss me a diplomacy check to see how well you're doing. The discussion has been good. Let's see if you bumble anything.
Plus deuce.
Because you're studying.
+2.
Sure. Yeah. So So you put him at ease. He came a little suspicious at the beginning, but all of the things you said, talking about Jana's cooking and stuff like that, he's really happy and he's really eager to get home. He's like I said, we've been out for 2 weeks already looking for the loyalists, but we haven't found anybody.
Oh, really? That's Yeah, I'm not. I haven't really heard about much like going out here or what's going on out here in the forest. But if you want, are you heading back right now?
He says we have a little bit more to do, but before the sun sets today, we'll be back at town.
Okay.
We'll be home in time for dinner.
Well, if you go back this way, and I just gestured towards like the way that we came in.
Mm-hmm.
There's a pretty easy hike out back to the town. So, I think it'd be you and your med would be able to get out pretty easily that way.
Yeah, so he nods. He appreciates that. He says, "Yeah, after this, we haven't had the easiest time out here. I'm not really looking forward to getting back, though. I figure with the results that we have, we're gonna get chewed out by Oppian for sure."
I would kind of be like, isn't this pretty typical? Like, it seems like Oppian isn't really giving you guys all that much direction, is he?
And he shrugs and says, we're under orders to go here. He gestures like, we went there, we stopped by the waterfall over there. All the places that, we would think the loyalists would be held up, but we haven't found anything. We haven't found any trace of them.
Yeah, that's too bad. Well, hopefully Oppian doesn't chew you guys out. You don't deserve it. You're trying to do a good job. Seems like, again, like there needs to be better direction with these sorts of things.
Yeah, he nods. He's like, I don't, we're doing the best we can. We only can search where they tell us to go, but it's surprising that none of us have found anything. He says like there's at least 6 patrols out, constantly, and somehow they've eluded us this entire time, even after making the strike on the sword tower.
That's weird. Like, do you guys have any seasoned trackers in your ranks?
He gestures to one of the guys behind him. He says, "Yeah, he's used to be a trapper, but he's not much. He doesn't know much more than any of us do. So not new seasoned trackers. Why are you a good tracker?"
Not particularly. I tend to know my way around town better than I do out here, but sometimes I'm lucky and I gesture to the deer.
Yeah, he says, "Well, that looks like a good hunt, good find. So, maybe we'll be eating that later today."
Sounds good, Sergeant. Well, I'll let you and your men wrap up so you can get back and get some good food.
He nods. Says, "Thanks. Yeah, maybe we'll see. Will we be at the tavern tonight?"
Yeah. I mean, I at least have to deliver the deer and I'll help her dress it. But not sure how long I'll be staying there. But if I'm there with you, I'll buy you around as well.
He seems very happy with that. Like, yeah, thanks so much.
So.
Yeah, the men are doubly happy about that. They are looking forward to some drinks. But yeah, so he nods to you and he nods back at Iwan. And are you on the horse, Iwan, or are you kind of walking?
I think she would be on. I mean, I assume that she's like a patsy on the horse. Otherwise, she's really going to slow the horse down.
Fair enough. Yeah, so he nods to both of you and just gestures to his men to head back down the way Vor suggested. And they're going to head back to town. And you kind of just meander through the woods. You're not going all the way to the camp, but kind of just making sure that no one else is going to head up there. And you've effectively deflected this patrol from heading north and possibly finding them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys are good. And Nero begins walking back, and you encounter him. You manage to find him along the way. His nose still bleeding a little bit. The dried blood all over his face still.
So we started discussing this while you were in the can, but Nero basically was relating the idea that we can really parlay this into something with the council, and that he needs to get in contact with the council members who are not Oppian aligned, who are not the Oppians.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you think we're going to need like a decently drawn up, I don't know, legal document for them to be convinced? Like again, this is kind of good in theory, but how do we make it more concrete?
Well, I mean, I think just what you said. We create a legal document, and we figure out exactly what we have to do to make peace. We make peace. We mix everyone back up, and we see if we can't get this settled without blood.
Yeah. Well, we can also think a little bit about some of the council members. I don't know. Maybe they'll be more convincible if there's some earmarked items in there. I think we can envision what some of those things might be for each of them.
I imagine you can.
Well, the only one on the council now that we really have to worry about is Oppian, right?
I would think so. Yeah.
I mean, at this point, the town's ours. So all we have to do is just show a clear path forward to the people, so they don't.
Right.
So they support what the council supports, and if Oppian opposes, then here I suggest you call for a vote of no confidence.
Or if I call for a vote in general, if we have enough votes, then what is he going to say? He can't say no.
Right, but if he tries to use his governorship to veto the council,
well then he's not into democratic rule.
right? And, I think that would be. You should ride what I expect, like the enthusiasm of the crowd.
That'll divide the people just like that.
Yeah. And so Ivan will convey the experience that she had, I guess, earlier in that day. Like, the people were already starting to get uneasy with their voices not being heard. They saw the posters coming down. There was a standoff. They're not happy. Like, they clearly see Oppian right now as silencing them and just imposing his will. So I agree that they're sort of ready for this.
Now's the time to strike them.
Anyhow,
When's the next scheduled council meeting?
The next scheduled one is still far away. It's like 5 days away. But given the circumstances, like you could vote to call one. If any two members want to call one, the others would basically be obliged to show up.
right.
Based on the chaos in town, like it's expected that you probably have more.
I'll talk to.
Well, and
Sorry.
you've also said that like they get really uneasy when there aren't 6 council members, right?
Correct. Calcira's hasn't been announced as missing yet, though. People aren't really aware of it as of yet.
Right.
I mean, how does that work though? If was she just voted in as like a temporary like council member to fill in? It's like
She was.
if someone's unreliable and just like ups and leaves town without telling anyone like why they're leaving, like why should they? If they're not beholden to the town, why are they on the council?
That's true. So she was just elected temporarily to replace Zane during his trial, but he abdicated his position. He basically ceded it to her. Like, I don't even want to be on this council. I don't want to waste my time here anymore. And it was kind of understood that Calcira would continue to serve.
How are council seats usually filled?
The same way that you happened before, there would be another vote.
Oh, all right.
If anybody even wants the position anymore.
Yeah. Dropping like flies.
Yeah. Seemed to get murdered pretty quick, or disappeared pretty quick.
Anyway.
Did Bob tell Yeah, did Bob tell like Nero, Vors, or Iwan like where the Kelsira incident happened?
No.
Or did you tell him?
Well, it obviously happened at the old camp, so Iwan would know that.
Yeah.
You did tell us about it though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nero, do you think we need to bring evidence back, or do you think I should bring evidence back?
I think we'll burn that bridge when we get to it, if we need it.
All right. Okay, let's head back.
All right. Yeah. So you guys
So-
head back to town.
Boars would put the deer and Iwan put Iwan in the saddle and put the deer across the haunches, like where saddlebags usually would be.
Mhm.
Well, you could also throw the deer in Iwan's bag if you wanted to do that. She'd let you do that.
Magic bag.
No, he wants to have the deer out on display.
Okay.
And then walk on foot, leading the horse, or leading Skarta, like keeping pace with Nero.
Okay.
All right. All right. So yeah, you guys get back, and now it's like late afternoon, almost dinner time, and Vors is going to deliver his deer to the Swedish
Yep.
Drop Tavern. Does anybody else want to do anything with the rest of the day?
Well, so Nero would propose the idea of going to see Kelsira, and maybe I should see either Linton or Jaina tonight.
Okay. Anyone you want to do first?
So Nero will go and make an appearance asking about Kelsira again.
At the temple?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you're making your intentions known to Vors, and Vors will just tell you that he'll talk to Janet if you want to go, and to Linton.
Fine.
Okay.
Maybe we should have you handle that bit of business we talked about with Linton.
Are we ready for that? We're not sure how. Well, I guess Linton does know that we were at the everything else, so I guess it doesn't matter too much.
I trust you can gauge the situation.
Well, I mean, last time I met him, he said that. I mean, Rima was there. Like, he knows that we destroyed Hardship's Hearth.
Right.
And killed everyone save one, like lowly squire who got out the back. So
I trust that you can judge the situation. Yeah.
yeah, I can. I'll make sure that Janet's set up with the deer, and then go talk to Linton. Where's the article?
I assume we've got it somewhere, so he'll hand it off to Vors. Be discreet about it.
Okay.
All right.
Popping over to the Temple of Torag real quick. Nero, you walk in and you find the acolytes. There is a map for this, so I can pop it over there. So you walk in and you do find one of the acolytes there, and you basically ask, hey, what's going on? Have you seen Kelsira? And just like yesterday, she says, no, she left in a big hurry yesterday afternoon, and we haven't heard or seen from her since. And we're starting to get worried.
Does she do this often?
She says she often goes out for day trips, and she will sometimes go on missions, but usually she'll tell us where she's going. It's not like her to disappear for so long without someone knowing where she is.
Did somebody talk to her? Did somebody tell her something that she went off?
She shakes her head like I have no idea. She just came into the temple, grabbed all her gear and her dogs, and left.
Do you know where she came from?
She shakes her head. No, I have no idea.
But she came to the temple from wherever she was.
She nods. Correct.
Okay. Do Do you know which direction she came to the temple from?
And she said, "No, I was here, minding my
figured.
business."
I figured not. If she comes back, you tell her I have council business. I need her to find me immediately.
She nods. Of course. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much. The temple is coming along.
Yeah, and you can still see it does look like a very Asmodean temple, but they started putting draperies and stuff over some of the things. It's slowly becoming more and more like a temple of Torag. And she's happy to hear you say that. She's like, "Thank you." Ah, he's kissing his wife.
My wife misses me.
Aww. Yeah, so there's not much else to know at the Temple of Torag. You have any other questions?
No. He just sort of looks around. I don't think that they're going to be willfully lying to me. So, yeah, he's just going to head down the road, and he's going to ask a few people on the street if they saw Kelsyra the other night, because I assume it's around the same time of day that she left.
Sure. Toss me a diplomacy check to see if you... I don't think you can bumble badly enough to not get the answer you're looking for.
He's just looking to see maybe where she was.
You ask a couple of people, and people don't seem to know, but you do catch one or two people that say that she was coming from the direction of Valor's fastness.
Okay.
And here's the town. Boop, boop. So that's the town, and let's see. So the fastest is the big one, number 13.
Right.
And I always forget which is which.
And I'm like up here somewhere.
Temple of Torag is where?
Oh, probably here.
10? You think 10 is the Temple of Torag?
I would bet based on the shape of the building, but we'll see.
Yep, that's the Shrine of the Hammer. You're right. Yeah, so they believe that she was coming from over there. People saw her along this route.
Okay. This is which is Swedish Drop? 11, 9?
I think it's 11.
No, 11 and 7.
11 is the Swedish Drop Tavern.
Okay.
7 is the Labor Guild.
9's the Houghton Manor, right?
Yeah, 9 is Narcopolis Manor.
So Nero will move across town and move to the Swedish Drop.
Okay. So you're headed to the Swedish Drop, so that's just basically on this map, and I'll just put Jana in. Should really get a Swedish Drop map at this rate. But yeah, rowdy tavern time. Alright, and now it's nighttime. Now it's like around dinner, so it actually is fairly rowdy. It's much fuller than it was at lunch, and there are serving wenches all around, and a fiddle player apparently. So yeah, so you show up, and what would you do? Yeah, she welcomes you. She says, "Oh, Nero, welcome. Sit down."
Jaina, I don't have time to stay, but I have council business. Could we adjourn somewhere for a few minutes?
She says, "Sure, certainly." And she takes you into the back behind the kitchen to a storeroom.
So he basically floats his idea of the theory of if we rejoin the fold as a protectorate, we might be able to save the town. And he basically is selling it as a way to make sure that we don't get just trampled under by Thrune. I don't think this revolution takes that into mind. What happens if Sonara doesn't fall?
And she seems a little hesitant. She says, I don't know. Do you think the others would go for it?
I think it'll take some convincing, but you are the first council member I've proposed this to.
She rubs her chin for a little bit. She says, Oppian and Kelsyra, I don't think they'd ever go for it. I don't think they'd go for any agreement with Thrune.
To be honest with you, I went to see Kelsyra because she was on the way here, but she hasn't been to the church in a couple of days.
She seems surprised by that. She says, "Really? I figured after being appointed to the council, she'd stop her wanderings."
Apparently she just left yesterday, didn't even tell the acolytes where she was going, left with her dogs, which to me, would seem that she was headed for trouble, yeah?
She seems concerned about that. She took the dogs? Usually she leaves them at the temple.
That's what I've heard as well.
Okay, so she's unsure about that. She's like, okay. I assume you could call a meeting. We have to contact her and have the meeting.
Sure.
And she said,
Sure. No, go ahead.
She's like, do you have any idea how the others would vote? I guess I'm the first you visited, but do you have any feelings on the others?
I think Kelsira and Appian, and to be honest, I think really only Appian are in this for the religious aspect. I think the rest of us are in this just for survival and maybe getting a boot heel off our necks. That's the feeling I get from you anyway.
She nods and she says, I just abhor violence. Like, I was okay with the revolution or the Glorious Reclamation because, their coup was relatively bloodless and very few people got harmed, but as this drags on, it seems like it's not going to stay that way.
And I mean, these Thrune loyalists, they know the area. They're guerrillas. If I was able to negotiate peace with them, I think it'd be a good thing for everyone involved.
She said, whatever means the least amount of people dead, the least bloodshed, that's what I prefer.
All right. I'm talking with Phaedrith about drawing up a legal document. If we were able to draw up a legal document that made us a protectorate type, so we're sort of independent from Thrune, I think we might have a legal leg to stand on. I'm doing research still. I'm still in the early phases, but I think it's something we might be able to do.
And again, just like everybody else, she seems a little skeptical about
my sound
that.
cut out.
Sorry?
My sound cut out, sorry. Go ahead.
Like everybody else, she seems a little skeptical about that. She says, I don't know if Thrune would accept such a thing, but, if anyone can figure it out, it's you, I suppose.
But think about it. Think about the beauty of this. If we have Appian on one side, his angel backing, agreeing to this protectorate status, and then we have a contract that's so ironclad that not even a scion of hell could find fault, could find manipulation. Imagine, Thrune would have to honor it.
She nods. And toss me a diplomacy check to see how you're smoozing her.
And we're 1-on-1, so I get +3.
Okay. Yeah, so you seem to convince her. She's like, well, again, anything that keeps the bloodshed to a minimum, anyone that keeps the town safe, that's what I'm for. And as you say, if Sonara fails, if the siege on Sonara fails and the knights come this way, I don't want them to cut down all the innocent people here.
Right. All right, well, I've got work to do, and you've got work to do, but I'm glad to know that if I manage to figure this out, I can get your support.
Yeah, she nods. She says, certainly. Again, anything to keep the bloodshed down.
Okay. So that'll do it.
Alright.
Is anyone with me? Where's the rest of you gang? Oh, you're going to talk to Linton.
Yeah, I mean, Boris would have been there to help her dress and prepare the venison for her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Probably.
Yeah, you could be there if you like. If you want to do that before, you could, because this is the dinner rush. So if you wanted to be in the back helping to do that, so you
sure.
Okay.
No, just the good sergeant and his men show up.
They do show up. Sergeant, what's his name? Sheen.
All right, so I buy them around too.
All right, yeah, and Jan is happy to serve them. She does take your money now because you're buying from multiple people, so she's like, okay. So she will take some coin, but she does pour drinks for all of them, for all the Glorious Reclamation sergeants and squires. And again, they are all drinking mightily. They are very happy to be back in town. You can tell that they're weary from the road. They still haven't bathed or anything like that, but they are scarfing down the mutton and some of the deer if it's available right now, and quaffing the beer greedily.
All right, then I buy him another round.
All right, yeah. So let's see, Sergeant Sheen. Yeah, he's drunk. Sergeant Sheen gets pretty drunk pretty quickly, and he starts complaining to you. He's like, "Yeah, we got chewed out by Opiate just as I knew we would." He says, "I reported. I gave him the report. I showed him the map of everywhere we had been. We didn't find anything. No tracks, no nothing. And, I don't know where the loyalists are, but nowhere where we looked."
No, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, just let me know if you guys are thirsty. The drinks are on me tonight. You shouldn't have been chewed out. Just doing your job and going where he told you to.
He says, "Oh, yeah, that's what I said." And you can see he's very inebriated. He's like, "That's what I said. That's what I was talking about." But Appian said, he was blaming us for not finding. He doesn't understand how they, how are they ghosts? What are they? How are they in the forest and none of us have found him? He says that he's going to send us out pretty soon, maybe even as soon as tomorrow.
So Vors would, like, if he's done with his beer, buy him another one, and basically just like keep encouraging him to talk poorly about Appian.
And he is. He takes another drink and he gets a little drunker, and he is complaining very loudly about it. Like I it's not our fault. It's not my men's fault. My men shouldn't have had to sit through that. Chew me out if you want, but we were just following orders. They were following my orders, and I was following his.
Well, did he say where? Like you said, you're heading out tomorrow. Like, where are you headed?
He didn't say. He just said that something has happened and that there's a patrol going out tomorrow, and my men are back on. Like we're supposed to have a couple days off between patrols, but I don't know. Something seems to have happened, or I don't know. Maybe we're short-staffed. He didn't say. He wasn't specific.
Are you the only patrol going back out tomorrow? How does it expect you guys to maintain this operational tempo? Like, you're not going to be effective if you guys are fatigued.
He agrees. That's what I said. That's my men need rest time. We just got off the road. We still stink. We have the stink of the forest on us, and we haven't even given proper downtime. I don't know what's going on. Maybe things are wearing thin. Maybe he's trying to send out more patrols to find the loyalists. I don't know.
That's all right. That's interesting. Well, I'll talk to Miss Holdis tonight, and you guys can drink as much as you want on my tab.
And he raises his glass and he spills a little bit of it because he's a little too drunk. But he's like that. It's like thank you so much. And did you ever tell him your name? I don't think you did.
No, I didn't. No, I guess I would tell him that my name is Vors. Never is.
Yeah, well, he raises his glasses to Vors, and all of his men raise their glass, and they're all getting drunk. And they're all very happy that you're buying beer for the night. and Sergeant Sheen says, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but tonight we drink.
Well, thank you, Sergeant. I'm going to keep helping Miss Holdis with the McServant tonight and making sure that all our customers are happy.
He nods, and again he raises his beer, and he thanks you so much for everything you've done. And yeah, anything else with you, Nero? Iwan, are you here too, or where'd you go?
So Iwan would still be in the little Uskwood. My plan for her was kind of twofold. One, early on, just kind of combing through the legal books and specifically looking at things like how certain things would be handled, like how drugs would be handled, and kind of crafting up some notes about that. And she'd really be focused a lot on limited government and limited oversight, and just trying to almost craft like a minimal governance kind of thing. So she's writing all notes about that. Mm-hmm. So that would be a large portion of the night, and then the rest of the plans are kind of when things get further into the night and guards are maybe not as present.
Okay.
So if that's now, I'll do it, but if it's later, I'll wait.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guards in the tavern, but once they get drunk, so a little later, I guess would probably be better than that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, Vors, you were going to head to Linton too, as well?
If Nero wasn't there to hear the good sergeant, talking about going back out tomorrow, not knowing why.
I think he was there. He was hanging around for that. Yeah.
Okay. I would say no.
All right. Well, then I'll need to call the meeting sooner rather than later. I'm gonna see if I can't go toward the fastness and see if anyone saw Kelsira come out of there.
Okay. I think we should pull it on Linton for now.
You did what on Linton, sorry?
Pull it. Oh, I'm telling Nero that I think we should just I don't want to approach Linton with anything new or questionable.
So why don't you just go tell Linton about my idea and see if he's on board?
Okay, is that appropriate? I'm not on the council myself. I think it would be best to. I can be there with you to
Okay.
help support talk, but I mean, as official council business that isn't public knowledge, I don't think it should be coming from councilman. We also may want to talk to Laura Donna later.
Okay.
Because if she finds out last, I don't know. If she's okay.
All right.
Given her role and everything, we can know.
All right. Well, let's talk to Linton then, and then talk to Loredana and go from there.
Right. I tell Jana like I need to go out with Nero, and I'll be back later. I give her a wink.
She nods, she winks back. And she says she'll take care of your friends for you. I need to go back to healthy heart or chemicals.
How drunk can we get tonight? You know, how incapacitated will it be to?
They're already pretty drunk. That guy failed 3 of his saves. That's pretty fantastic for him. Alchemist shot music. Alright. So you approach, and the sun is set a little bit now, and it's getting dark, but the shop is still open. And you get there, and there's no one inside. Rima's not there anymore.
What's that?
Rima is not there. She was still on the map from the last time, so she's not here anymore. But Linton's behind his counter, and he doesn't have any customers. It seems like he's about to close up shop, but he invites you both in.
Sorry,
He seems most interested in Vors. Like, Vors, yes. What can I do for you?
All right, Linton. I just wanted to come over here with Nero. He has some really compelling ideas that I think you should hear him out.
And he says, "Oh, new ideas? What are we talking about?"
I've been doing some research, and I've been trying to think of how we can resolve this without bloodshed. I don't think the town will survive a frontal assault. I don't think that any amount of force will save this town. And I think you, like me, would prefer that the town survives rather than goes out in a blaze of glory. Am I right in that assumption?
He nods. He says, "Yeah, I've been here for decades, and I continue to stay. I would like to stay here. So yeah, I'd like the town to continue existing. Yes."
If I can find a legal loophole that'll allow us to become sort of a protectorate state under Thrune. So, in a way, come back into the fold, but not so much that we have to compromise all the ideals of the council. Would that be something you'd be interested in?
He ponders that for a moment and then says, "That sounds fine to me. As I told Vors, I don't mind. I don't really care who rules as long as me and my people are taken care of, are okay."
And Vors will chime in and say, I think when everything shakes out, there are going to be some certain people that should just disappear. And we may be able to arrange something for you.
Go ahead and make a bluff check to see if you convey. Yeah. So he nods. He says, "Understood," and I'd be very appreciative of that. We can make people disappear quite easily.
But I mean, I think that trade could reopen. I think that other things that are maybe prohibited by one person's religion need not be prohibited to all. Do you get me?
Yeah, you can make another bluff check, but I'm pretty sure that was pretty on the nose. Yeah, so he understands. He's like, yeah, certainly. Since the reclamation has taken over, trade has decreased substantially. There are very few all the taxes and fees and things that they're levying on the docks now. Fewer and fewer boats are coming, and as Cheliax is wising up to the fact that this glorious reclamation is here, fewer and fewer are coming anyway. They just they don't want to trade with the enemy. So certainly some sort of arrangement would be better for everyone. I agree.
All right. So I'm going to research this. I've got Phaedrith also helping me research this, and I'm hoping we can come up with something that's legally binding. I think that I can get this. If I can get this as a binding contract, I think we'd have to do some sort of legwork on who we could get it bound with, but I think we could make this work. And bring this place back into the fold. I think it might be over Oppian's protest, to be honest, but I think we can do it.
He nods. He agrees with you. He says, I don't believe Oppian would be for anything like this. Again, kind of just echoing everything else everybody has said. But he agrees, like, you know, I'm all for anything. Like, I love trade. I'd love for us to rejoin the Empire in whatever capacity. And I don't want to see this town burned to the ground. So, if you believe this is the best way forward for the town and for my people, you know, I'm willing to support it.
All right, excellent. So I'll count on you to be on board. I'm going to call a meeting as soon as possible. I need you to be in support of the meeting so that I can call it.
He nods. He says, that sounds amenable to me.
Boards would kind of just wait for like a pause in the conversation to like make sure that Nero had wrapped up with Linton, and then you'd ask him, well, Linton, by any chance, like, I know you have an information network established here. I heard that there's some emergency patrols going out tomorrow. By any chance, like, do you know why Oppian is like sending men out so quickly?
And he shakes his head. No, I haven't heard anything about that. We do have some I do have some eyes and ears inside the fastness, but I haven't heard back from anybody today. When did you hear this? What do you know?
But moments ago, at the a sergeant who had just gotten back from a week-long patrol said that he and his unit were redeploying tomorrow. He didn't know why or to where, but it seemed that Oppian was very concerned about something, and that this was a bit of like an emergency move.
I haven't heard anything about that, but I'll check with my contacts tomorrow.
Okay. I guess I just do sense motive +2.
Yeah. You don't believe he's lying.
Okay.
You believe that he does have eyes and ears inside the fastness, and that he hasn't heard anything today.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. If as soon as you hear anything, please, if you could, send someone to let us know. These are very delicate times, and we need to stay on top of things and be up to date whenever possible.
He nods. Of course. What I know, you will know. I promise.
Thank you.
Anything else, Nero? Yours?
Now, Linton, one other piece of business that will require the utmost discretion. You mentioned that you'd be able to tan a piece of skin, yes?
He nods. He's like, with the right reagents, I could do it quicker than you could do it normally, probably, yes.
How long would that take?
He believes it would take 2 to 3 days with the right chemicals.
Do you have the right chemicals on hand?
He says, I believe so. I'd have to mix some things up and see how it reacted to the hide, but certainly.
Okay. Then I guess Vors. Linton. Then make sure you have the right reagents, and then I'll be back tomorrow with the hide.
Okay. Yeah. So he knows. Like, I'll prepare for the hide tomorrow. Certainly.
Thank you.
Why would this require discretion? He says, raising an eyebrow.
It's just I'll talk to you tomorrow about it.
Okay. He looks a little confused and looks at you a little oddly, but he's all right. Fine. Certainly. He has no reason to disbelieve you or be suspicious of you at this point. Anything else? Alright. Guys, head back to the Little Duskwood.
Let's go talk to Loredana.
Hey, could I pop in on Zane?
Sure, what did you want to do with Zane?
Just pop in on Zane and see if he's done any more if he's seen anything, read anything, and sort of ping people on the street about Kelsira. Oh, and can I mention that to Linton?
Kelsira?
Kelsira's not been seen in a day or so. Any word? If you find out any word of why and where she went, that'd be great.
Okay. Yeah, he doesn't know anything. He says he doesn't claim to have any eyes or ears inside the Temple of Torag. But he says if I hear anything, I'll let you know.
Apparently she came from the fastness, so...
Okay. He says I'll ask around.
Okay.
And then you wanted to swing by Zane?
Yeah, just a quickie. You don't even have to play it out. Just asking him if he's had any time to read the text or anything to,
He's just glanced at it. It's still the same day, and as you suggested, when he was eating dinner, he sat down and read a little bit about it, but he doesn't have anything new to tell you. He just says it seems theoretically possible is all he's gotten so far.
Okay, let's reconvene in a day or two, and we'll talk more about it.
Okay. He nods. He's like, certainly. My interest is piqued.
So, and then I'll bail to the
Duskwood?
bin.
All right. Yeah, so what's up? You're there with Loredana. Everybody's here.
So, Nero would probably explain his plan and probably be a little more plain with Loredana than he was with the rest of the gang.
Okay. And
We can bring this town back into the fold without violence the same way it was taken out of the fold. And I'm sure there'll be some enthusiastic resistors that'll have to be taken care of, but I think we can do this without spilling a ton of blood in the city.
And Loredana nods, and like you said, you can be more plain with her because she's basically on your side at this point. She's a pro Thrune person, so she says, however it has to get done, I'm okay with that. Minimizing deaths is good, but not something I care a lot about. Like as you say,
so I would kind of so she's like present as Nero's doing this, and she'd be like, what do you care about? Because we can make sure to consider that strongly.
She says, I just want to be left alone. I want to be left to mine. I my little tavern here. I'm here to make money. I'm here to make deals, and I'm here to pay back my favors to Fex. This will clean my slate with him.
So I would be like, good. I think probably most of us just want to be left alone. Maybe when we finally draft something up, you can take a look and make sure you think that it does that.
She said, certainly. I don't have a legal mind at like Nero or some of the others here, Nero or Zane, but I'd certainly like to take a look at it.
All right. All right, excellent.
Anybody else doing anything tonight?
Orswood, they talked to Nero. I pulled him aside and basically said that he didn't want to do the transaction with Linton in front of him because he knows. Like,
I understand.
That, and he's not sure that. Forrest doesn't think that we necessarily need it right now with the amnesty that may be granted.
Sure.
So, it would be nice to have moving forward, but it'd be best to wait until things settle down here before we process the skin. So Wars would take it off his person so he's not walking around town with it anymore, and like stash it in like the Little Duskwood or wherever.
Sure, in the bag with the dog, the demon dog or whatever.
Yep. And then he'd go head back to Jana and make sure that Sergeant Sheen and his men are still drinking.
Yes, they are profoundly drunk, and they are still drinking. Right there.
And Boris would encourage that buying another 2 rounds.
Yeah, I still have him down here, Sergeant Sheen. So he manages to survive the 4th beer, but the 5th one takes him down a bit more. So yeah, so he's fairly drunk, and he's basically going to be crashing here for the night. He can't even stumble back to the Fastness, or he doesn't want to stumble back to the Fastness. So he'll be staying at the Swedish Drop Tavern, him and a bunch of his men, and they have a very good time. Anybody doing anything else tonight?
I think the only other thing that I would want to do is, like, as it gets later into the night, go out and kind of see if, like, she had spoken to the people earlier in the day who said they were going to put stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
So she would have already, like, prepared a couple of signs that she would ideally want to put up, but I think she'd be looking around to see if anybody had already done that or was in the process of doing it. And, like, you know, either put some up herself or hand them some and, like, encourage them to do it. But overall, the theme is going to be stuff along the lines of, like, you know, we will not be silenced, or, like, no dictatorships, or, like, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so you do actually bump into several other people, like, in late at night. This is now, you're going at like 2 in the morning, basically, to put up your signs, and you bump into a bunch of people, and you see there has been some graffiti put up. And there are some choice ones. One of them is, Amadei ruled Cantaria for a year and a day. Will Oppian make it 2 months? You see another one that says, what has the council done for you? Question mark. Another one says, is this law? Is this order? And you also see, much to your chagrin perhaps, a bunch of anti-halfling graffiti. You see, slips deserve chains, not votes. You see, what has their freedom cost you? And most horrifyingly, you find a beaten, unconscious slave and slip, and behind him it says, "Know your place. Slips serve." So, what would you do about the unconscious halfling?
And she won't have seen anybody actually, like, having put this stuff up. This is all just up, and, like, she's now.
You bump into some people that are writing some stuff on the wall, but let's say that the halfling you didn't see happen. But
Okay.
like the is this law, is this order? You do see that person he's just painting it on a wall basically. They don't even have posters like you do.
Okay. So for those, you know, she would go up to them and be like, you know, this is great. Our voices need to be heard. She'd also say, you know, if go and gather others, and here are some materials, and she'll kind of, like, hand them some of the posters she made along with some just, like, general blank things that they could write on to post.
Mm-hmm.
If she assuming she doesn't see anybody putting up any of the anti-halfling things, then she would just, like, so there's just a halfling that's beaten up on the ground basically.
Yes, with some graffiti behind him telling him to know his place.
Okay. But he's conscious?
He's unconscious. No, he's alive, but unconscious.
Okay. So I think she'd walk up to him and tap him with one of the infernal healing wands that she's got to try to get him up.
Yeah, that's enough to at least rouse him, yeah.
Okay. So who did this to you?
He said, I don't know, they were wearing masks on their faces. They were wearing, like, just cloth over their face. So there's several of them, three or four people, humans, I believe.
Are they the ones who also, she kind of, like, points around to some of the other halfling graffiti, and it's like, are they the same? Did you see, are they the same people who put this stuff up, or did it seem like it was different, or
He shakes
what did you see?
I don't know. He looks at the sign behind him. He says, I didn't even see them put that up. I was jumped. I don't know anything.
Like, I'm sorry this happened to you. Clearly people don't see the equivalency between them getting freedom and you getting freedom. She'd be like, but, you know, we're like, this isn't going to be acceptable. Like, we're not, like, this is not going to go unavenged. Like, this isn't acceptable to me.
He seems kind of downtrodden. He's like, what are you going to do? It's been this way for hundreds of years. This 2 months of revolution isn't going to change that.
Yeah, but I haven't been here for hundreds of years.
So you see him smile a bit. He says, I thank you for your help, and I appreciate everything you're doing for us, but I don't know if you're going to change the minds of all these people.
Like, well, we'll see about that. In the meantime, let's walk you back to camp.
Sure. Yeah. So he nods and he kind of limps, but he gets up and he is able to walk. All right. So it's 5. We didn't do any fighting today. I feel bad that we didn't do any fighting, but a lot of cool stuff happened.
It's not your fault.
Yeah, we're gonna get there, I think.
All right. Anybody want to do?
Punch Nero, so
You did punch Nero, and you crit him.
You critted him.
Crit his face. Yeah.
The best combat day ever. 100% crits.
We had Stefan watching, and we didn't do a single fight. I feel a little bad about that, but it's all good.
No, if he's still interested after this, then
That's true. This is dedication. Do you want to talk for 4 hours? Yeah. But yeah, I think things advanced pretty well. Things are going very. I think you've got this well in hand now. Like you said, you've got 4 council members in your pocket at this point.
about to be 5.
Right? Yeah.
I can get my chop on there.
Or you.
Or Vors, I suppose.
Yeah.
Vors would be humbled. He's not going to nominate himself, but if he's nominated, he's not going to turn it down.
Fair enough.
Like, it's what the people want.
The people's hero.
People have also been recently cheering a certain gnome. So
It's true. The halflings, yeah, do seem to like the gnome a lot.
It's true.
I mean, that'd be good to be a nice, like, diversity hire.
It's true. It is all humans and a dwarf currently. The dwarf just got added, and she lasted literally a day on the council. Not even 24 hours.
That's what you get for opposing Magma Lord.
All right. Do we have a moral and an MVP?
Moral is Bob wants to roll a knowledge check. Make a knowledge check. I think.
Yeah, I see that one. I see Michael Mosky said just books in quotes is the moral. I wrote down, oh, so she's dead? And Bob says, yes, very much. Michael Mosky wrote down, you give her some decent sexy eyes. Bob wants to make the knowledge check. Yeah, those are all of them. Anybody have a nomination?
You give her some decent sexy eyes, I like.
Yeah, I second that.
All right. Boom. Good enough. Moral. Boom. All right. And MVP? Any nominations?
Nas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I think Jeff's been doing a great job playing up this Iwin as the revolutionary as well. I've been enjoying that.
I don't know if it's in the spirit of like an MVP like nomination and vote, but like he's capped on 0 points.
That's something I do, so I can't scold you for doing that. So
Yeah, I am capped on 0 points.
I'm not. Sweet.
Yeah.
Right, so Nero it is.
I mean, you deserve this anyway for tonight. So
Thank you.
there you go.
Thank you.
I do the same thing in the group, and I get yelled at by Nate all the time. All right, saving the chat and saving the campaign. Anything else before we close out the session, guys?
No, good session, man.
So we play on Monday?
Yeah.
Michael Mosky said we couldn't play on Monday. Is that the only person that said we couldn't?
I thought that like today and Monday were the only 2 days that he said okay on.
Did you say
Did I
okay
say
Monday?
okay on Monday?